How's it going?
Hey,
Good,
thanks for coming on
Jason.
Talking Metal. Hey, Mark.
Yeah, welcome to another edition of Talking Metal. We are streaming live here on Facebook. We have some great guests tonight. We have Rob Dukes, the vocalist of Generation Kill and former vocalist of Exodus. And right now we are live with drummer extraordinaire Jason Hartless. How are you, Jason?
I'm doing fantastic.
Cool. Now, how do you guys know each other? John, how do you and Jason know each other?
So I know Jason through Jason's dad, Jason Sr., and through the whole Ace Frehley crew and camp. And my first recollection of ever knowing of Jason was that Richie Scarlett said that he jammed with this amazing young drummer, and it was Jason. And Jason, you've been drumming, I think, as long as you can remember. You started when you were 5.
Well, yeah, I mean, I started playing my first gigs when I was 5. My dad was a drummer, and that's how, the whole Ace Frehley connection got, kind of into my life, is because my dad, the band he was touring with, used to do tons of shows with Ace back in the early 90s. And, my dad and Ace and Richie became, like brothers. And so, my whole life I've been involved in this Ace Frehley, KISS camp. So, by the time I was 6 months old, I would, kind of sit on his lap and, bang away on the drums. And then by the time I could walk on my own, I'd be sitting, playing the kit. And, sooner or later, I started playing with some of my dad's friends. And then we started doing like cover gigs around Detroit, where I'm born and raised, and about the time I was 5.
That's awesome. Now, Jason, I wanted to congratulate you because you just graduated from Berklee College of Music, where I met Mark, and I graduated back in, 1991 with a degree in what was called professional music.
I never graduated, but maybe one day I'll get back there.
but you went to a bunch of schools, Mark, so you got a lot of education. So, Jason, tell us about your degree, and did you physically go there? How did you do it?
Well, I started my degree back early 2016, and I kind of was at a crossroads of, do I move to Boston for 4 years and do my degree, or take the online approach? Now, my degree is music business, so it's all book work, pretty much anyways. Luckily, I chose the online route, and the main reason is so that I can continue, working my career and, tour with any potential. But literally about a month and a half after I started my degree, I got the call for the Ted Nugent gig.
Wow. Now, Jason, let me.
So you've been playing with Ted while you're doing your education.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
and obviously we're in weird times now where people aren't physically at school, but were you physically in Boston, or were you doing more online stuff with Berklee?
100% online. However, I have studied on campus, for various things over the years, but my degree was online 100%.
Now, Jason, I want to ask you about some of the Berklee stuff, but I just want to first let all of the viewers and what will later be listeners on the podcast version of this know that you are, and I'm not just trying to butter you up here, you are a drummer on the scale of like what I would say an Anton Fig, which is, to me, the top of the line. You can play rock, you can play jazz, you can play fusion, you can play anything, and you can sound authentic playing all that different stuff. And you had different teachers through the years. One of them, Tommy Clufetos from Black Sabbath. You had a really cool teacher that was on your congratulatory video that was cool. Tell us about all of that, and how did you become not just another rock drummer? Like, I went to Berklee, but I'm not your typical Berklee musician. I'm more of a straight ahead rock guy. But you, to me, can play everything and can play everything right. You sound good at playing everything. Some jazz dudes can't play rock. Some rock dudes can't play jazz. You can play it all. Now, tell me about that.
Well, I appreciate, those kind words. And, the thing is I've always had this mentality and outlook of being a studio musician. I've never, ever had this aspiration or desire to be a quote unquote rock star. I listen to rock music, but, I listen to everything. And in order to be successful, especially in this day and age in this industry, you've got to be the guy that can just play everything. and plus it makes my job as a studio player and as a touring musician so much funner because, I never know what style of music I'm playing. I'm always, changing, one day it's actually pretty funny. I've told the story many times on various things, but I was on tour with Joe Lynn Turner doing just a weekend, a Great Lakes region kind of tour, Chicago, Detroit, all that stuff. And the last gig was in St. Louis, and I literally flew home directly from the airport and went straight into the studio to do a big band Christmas album.
Wow,
so you go from playing these Rainbow and Deep Purple songs, Cozy Powell, Bobby Rodinelli, and all this stuff into big band Christmas album. So it's that to me is what makes it, such a challenge and such a fun thing to do. But, my whole life I grew up in a household of, various music styles and listening. So I was always exposed to that stuff. And as I grew up, I started working with various, drummers and, things like that. And it just was something that I knew that I needed to do in order to be successful in the thing, in this industry. And being a one-trick pony is really useless, in my opinion, when it comes to being a studio musician.
Now, Jason, you mentioned your dad earlier, and he was a professional musician too?
Yeah, he was a professional drummer in Detroit. And, played with various acts. Okay,
so was he more rock or jazz, or like you, really kind of well-rounded?
He was a straight-ahead metal guy. He was, and he always says he's an 80s rock drummer, because that's what times were, and that's what, he loved to do, but, and the thing I will say about my father, he never once ever told me how to play drums, which is, honestly, a rare occurrence when it comes to young, inspiring musicians. Usually they have the stage mom or stage dad that are, telling them everything to do. And, I was allowed to find my own sound and find what to do and when it came to my playing, and that was absolutely key.
Yeah, Jason, we could have your dad on here for another podcast and talk about the times where Ace and Richie, I think, would stay over his house for days at a time and they would just have a good time. So, Jason, so you had mentioned before that you were taught by one of your teachers was Tommy Clufetos, who now plays with Black Sabbath, and he was playing with Ted Nugent for a time. And then how did you get the gig with Ted Nugent?
Well, actually, it's funny because I studied with Tommy probably 6 months to a year. And when I was doing that, he was actually drumming for Ted Nugent.
How long ago was this? Because I know Tommy was with Rob Zombie and then moved over to Ozzy and Sabbath.
This was 2002, I want to say. So I was only about 7-8 years old at the time.
Wow.
But yeah, and he had just got the Alice Cooper gig at that point as well. So,
but
it was a short time that I studied with Tommy, but, Corky Lang, drummer Mountain, was my main mentor for many years. And, guys like Todd Sugarman from Styx and Eric Singer from Kiss and all these guys, and Anton Fig actually taught me how to chart music, wow. Guys like that have always, I might not have been one-on-one lessons with them every week or, but they've had a major mentorship influence on my career over the years. But, when I was in 2000, I graduated high school in 2013. And at the same time, I started touring with a band out of Detroit called Pistol Day Parade that had a lot of, regional success. And we were just dropping the album and it was, getting rave reviews. And then in the summer of 2014, our management and label, said, all right, well, we're going to drop our lead single off of this album. And the song was called Rockstar's Girlfriend, which had done extremely, extremely well in the Detroit radio market. And, the whole plan was to coincide with the radio campaign. We're going to put you out with a major artist as, an opening act for the summer. So we ended up getting the opening slot for Ted Nugent for 2.5 months. So that was kind of my introduction to those guys and that whole camp. So Pistol Day Parade, we toured with them for 2.5 months. The single was climbing extremely fast. By the end of the tour, the song was number 19 with, our promoter telling us it's basically going to be a guaranteed number one if you go on to another tour. So we ended up booking a co-headlining tour with Buck Cherry at the end of 14. And unfortunately, we got off the road with Nugent, and the three of the members of the band decided that they hated touring.
Oh no.
So that was literally the end of that. And it's funny because it's almost identical to the story of That Thing You Do, but it was a great situation for me because I met all the crew and band for Nugent, and all the other people that were involved in the management. And come late 2015, early 16, I was shopping around for some work and sent a bunch of emails out to some people in the industry, one being Nugent's manager, just saying, hey, if you need anybody, or hear of anybody needing a drummer for tour in the summer or whatever, let me know. And I got an email back and says, well, can you play a Ted Nugent set perfectly? Like, yeah, sure. I got a call from Ted about 2 days later. And, we talked for like an hour and a half on the phone about, Detroit music and, what he wants in a drummer and things like that. And, he's always had a thing for Detroit musicians. Tommy Clufettos was from Detroit. I'm from Detroit. And, his band from the 70s and 80s were guys from Detroit. So it's always been that connection of being a major factor in, what he wants, because there's a certain sound that Detroit musicians have. And, you go back to the Motown and even in the 80s and 90s, there was a very, very prominent scene here. Unfortunately, it's no longer existent, but Detroit musicians have a distinct sound, and, he was looking for that. And, here I am 5 years later, where this would be my fifth tour with Ted, but unfortunately due to the pandemic, it's been moved to 2021.
Oh, right on.
Wow.
So Anthony Esposito, actually watching now on Facebook Live, he was, I don't know if this means anything to you guys, but he said Mike the cop was telling him about you, Jason, at some point, and saying that they should look into you for Red Dragon Cartel with Jakey Lee's band. And of course, Esposito's played with Ace. He's played with George Lynch and Lynch Mob, quite a player in the field. So do you know Anthony?
I think I met him when he was still playing with Ace years ago. But
and who's Mike the cop? I don't know. I have no idea who that is.
I know a Jason the cop, and I was going to talk to you at the end about Jason the cop, who's going to send me a mask by the Kiss mask. But Anthony Esposito, hello, one of my favorite bass players and favorite musicians of all time. I learned so much from Anthony as a tour manager, and such a great guy. Has a great studio. He plays with Jakey Lee right now and Red Dragon Cartel. And I first knew about Anthony, Jason, you got to check him out, since he was in Lynch Mob way back when George Lynch first left Dokken. And he's a great guy. So anyway, so if you need any more work, contact Anthony about a Jakey Lee gig. So those guys are all great. Now, Jason, I want to get into some of the other stuff you're doing, but first, I just want to ask you, how is it to tour with Ted? You know what? I should have brought out my Ted Nugent inspired they're like wine goblets with like a leopard skin, and I guarantee he has the same exact one. So my mom got these for me, not knowing that, but I thought they were cool because I have the same glasses.
Anthony says Mike Supa. I don't know who that is.
Oh, Mike Supa, yeah. You know Mike Supa, right?
Yeah, I just through Facebook.
Oh, cool. Yeah, Mike Supa. I never refer to Mike Supa as Mike the Cop. I just always refer to him as Supa. But yes, Mike Supa is great. And he's a musician too, a great guitar player. But yeah, so tell us about playing on tour with Ted Nugent. And it's just a three-piece, right? You, Ted, and one other guy playing bass.
Yeah, it's absolutely phenomenal, and honestly, when I opened for Ted on the tour, going into that, I knew I wasn't really familiar with Nugent's playing. Obviously I knew Stranglehold, Cat Scratch Fever, all the hits, but I was not, super familiar with it. And, watching him every single night open, when I was opening for him, it blew my freaking mind of just how unbelievable of a player he is. And, it completely changed my mind, outlook on him as a musician, because everybody sees, this larger than life character, but, when you really see this guy perform live, it's just like, holy crap, this is insane. And then, when I started playing with him, it went even higher. His musical IQ is through the freaking moon. And, as a drummer, I'm following him, where usually, obviously, it's usually the other way around, where everybody follows the drummer. I'm following him. And it's taught me such a completely different side of playing. And, the stuff that he pulls out of his ass, on stage and in the studio is just mind blowing, and as a person, he's one of the best people in the world. He treats my family like his family. And, I talk to him almost every single day. And, he's just one of the best guys in the world. They actually took me hunting for the first time ever in my life last fall.
Nice.
And, that was quite an experience, but, I couldn't ask for a better gig and, better, person to work for.
I was a big fan of a record, which I think gets overlooked. And it was Little Miss Dangerous. It was in the probably like 85, 86.
Mm-hmm.
And, man, what a great era of Nugent that I think a lot of times gets overlooked. Does he ever, I know everyone wants to hear the big hits from the 70s and stuff, but does he ever venture back into the 80s territory in the set list? Because it's been a while since I've seen Ted live.
Well, last year we rehearsed the song Painkiller off Little Miss Dangerous. We never ended up playing it, but last year we actually pulled out a lot of deep cuts from the 70s. Like we played Thousand Knives off Cat Scratch Fever, and we played we did Queen of the Forest off the first record, and what was the other one? Oh, Street Rats off of Free For All record. So we're always pulling these different kind of little deep cut nuggets. I think I get asked the most, when are we going to pull out some Amboy Duke stuff from the late 60s, early 70s. We've played Journey to the Center of Mind maybe 3 or 4 times over my course with him, but
yeah,
he's just had such a long sustained career, almost 60 years, and he just gets better and better and better every single time I play with him. It's insane. He's definitely one of those people that he gets better with age.
Nice.
We love Ted Nugent. We've had him on the Talking Metal podcast in the mid to late 2000s. It was great to have him on. We talked about rock and roll. We talked about hunting in my home state of Pennsylvania. And we just are fans. I've seen Ted, I think of course, I've seen Ace Frehley and Kiss a million times, but out of other bands, I've seen Ted Nugent and Iron Maiden more than anyone else. Wow. And so I've always been a big fan. Jason, I want to ask you about something involving the music business. So you are part of something called the Prudential Music Group. Tell us about that.
So, when I started my degree at Berkeley, I'm the type of guy that I hate theoretical, work, assignments and stuff like that. I'm the type of guy that I want to work on practical stuff if I am. And a label based out of Detroit that I've done a lot of work with over the years as a session musician for them, they approached me and was like, the label's kind of been defunct for, a year and a half. We have, Sony Orchard distribution. Do you want to take it over and become a managing partner? And, basically on the job training, because you're working on your degree as well as running a company at the same time. I was like, yeah, absolutely. And, at that point, it was mainly a catalog label. They were under a different name, and I bought out a bunch of different catalogs, and it turned into Prudential Records when I was around. And since then we've turned it into Prudential Music Group and formed Rouge Records, which is a vinyl reissue label. And we partnered with Third Man Pressing here in Detroit, Michigan, to do all of our vinyl, so keeping it local. And as well as Prudential Publishing to house all of our publishing catalog. But, it's been mainly about, trying to bring back resurgence of a lot of classic albums and classic artists, that hadn't, maybe been reissued by the majors or anything like that. But, it's all about the product and, making sure that we're putting out a product that is a collector's item. And I've always been a big vinyl guy even before the boom happened. So I appreciate the sound and the quality and, just what actually goes into it, but, having the opportunity to run a company with, major distribution through Sony has been a big thing for me to be able to, get again on the job training while I'm doing my degree. So, now that I have my degree, I'm starting my master's in music business at Berkeley next month. And, it's just, it just helps the stepping stone, and I don't look at it as a fallback to my career, but, I'd rather be in a position to where I'm busy doing other things when I'm not on the road or in the studio, versus.
Jason, it's really amazing. I mean, most of, at least when I was at Berkeley, we always wanted to be where you are, and you were there while going to Berkeley, playing with Ted Nugent, working with Prudential, and just working with you got to just, one of the best things that happened to me at Berkeley is I got to meet other musicians and people in the industry. You are having on the job training doing that, and I want to send a shout out to your drum tech, Randy Walker. It's his birthday today, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, Randy's a great guy. I remember him from, I think I met him at BB King's when you guys played there. And I worked with him in contributing to that video. One other quick thing I want to say is you're a super hockey fan. And that's correct, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you said your dad wanted you to be a hockey player, not a drummer, right?
Well, I was born in November. So my first Christmas, I was a month old. He got me little skates, little gloves. And, at first was like, he's going to be a hockey player. But, he soon learned really quick that I was gravitating towards the drums. And I'm a massive hockey fan, but I've never skated in my freaking life.
Now, you're friends with some of the Red Wings guys, right?
Yeah. Some former Red Wings and a couple current guys, but one of my closest friends is Drew Miller, who's retired from the Wings about 2 years ago. And like he even it mentioned possibly, playing in Red Wing alumni games is like, that'd be sweet, but I can't skate because they have celebrities, participate and stuff like that, right, too. But
I don't think you should. I don't think you should do it and I'm going to tell you why. For the same reasons, people are not supposed to ride motorcycles or do anything like that, because you cannot accidentally get hurt on that ice and break your leg or your arm, because that's your main career as a drummer.
Exactly.
Don't do it. Just go and hang out with those dudes.
So what day in November are you born, Jason?
The 5th.
The 5th. Okay. I'm 19.
Mark, when is your birthday?
November 19th. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you guys are close.
Scorpio. Yeah.
Jason, you and your dad, you guys are obviously familiar with Slapshot and the Chiefs. And I wanted to tell you something. Where Slapshot was done, that was my hometown of Johnstown, Pennsylvania. And in 1978, the team in Johnstown, which wasn't called the Chiefs, it was called the Jets. But some of those, that's where they did it. And those guys from the Jets were in the movie as the Chiefs. And but in 78, they became the Johnstown Wings, which was like an affiliate of the Detroit Red Wings. And then in 79, 80 season, they were actually called the Johnstown Red Wings. So my hometown team was once part of the Red Wings. And then now they changed the name to the Chiefs just so they could be like the movie. But
right. Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's awesome.
And I played Pee Wee hockey like when I was like, I don't know. I don't even think I was 12. I think I was like 8 or 10. And so I played a couple of seasons.
So guys, we are
claim to fame.
Guys, we are hanging with Jason Hartless right now, a drummer, young drummer. And we have Rob Dukes coming up in just a bit. I want to ask you, Jason, what younger bands you play with? It's no secret. I mean, Ted's, like you said, he's an older guy. He gets better with age, but what younger bands have caught your eye and ear, for that matter, or musicians? And they can be any style of music, from jazz, rock, hip hop, whatever. What musicians under the age of 30 have caught your eye and ear lately?
Honestly, we're in the day and age where, music is such an accessible commodity. I've got 3 billion songs on my phone and can access any song that's ever been released on my phone. So it's such a hard thing to kind of sift through the masses, because it's right. Everything's so, there's so much music being thrown at you, and, there's 1,000,000,001 drummers on YouTube doing covers. So, there's just so many great musicians out there nowadays. And, unfortunately, I still do see that, there is a decline in, the interest in playing music, but, hopefully, we continue the stride. And obviously the, many manufacturers are seeing that in their sales of their instruments, that it's not there anymore. But hopefully there's going to be change in the industry that definitely is going to spark a new interest for the younger generation. And when I'm not touring, I'm a teacher at a music school here in Detroit, and trying to make sure that these kids are being in the right path to inspire them to be creative, because the problem that we have nowadays is there's been such a loss in creativity, that there's nothing original. Everything's been done, so there's nothing new that's come in a while that's been able to spark that interest and creativity in younger musicians.
Yeah, it's a good point, because I've had this conversation with people. I mean, I there's some great bands out there, like Dirty Honey is a great band of young guys that I love, but they're never gonna do it like Aerosmith did it, and it's partly because Aerosmith did it first. Aerosmith they were one of the innovators. It's the same like when you go to metal, like thrash metal, like Warbringer's a great band, but Overkill and Exodus, and those were the guys who did it first. So it's interesting to think about that. Like is there anywhere else in the realm of rock that we can go? With guitar driven music, guitar, drums, and bass, that is. So yeah, it's an interesting question, and I hope that some younger people can not only pick up the torch and continue what has been going on, but maybe even expand upon it. And I think that's kind of what you were hinting at, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, rock is a dying genre, to be totally honest. And we all know this. And, there aren't new rock bands that are coming out. The only bands that are still out there are the classic artists, 70s, 80s, and 90s. And, that's why for me as a studio musician, I do a lot of stuff in Nashville, because, the country pop and country market is such a relevant thing to the younger generation these days. So, going back to the question earlier of, my outlook of being that guy that can play all these genres, especially nowadays, is so important, because, if you're only relying on one genre and only focusing on one thing, you're going to get lost in the rut, because there's a billion other musicians that are just as good as you, worse than you, or better than you, that are all pining for the same gig. So it goes way, way, way deeper than just you're playing. So you got to be able to, say yes when someone says, hey, can you play a bossa nova, or hey, can you play a halftime shuffle perfectly? So it's such a interesting time in the industry, and unfortunately the pandemic is putting a dagger in the touring industry as we know it for at least a year. So we're definitely going to see a different kind of landscape, I think, once we get out of this thing. But it's great.
It's something that I've thought about. It's like, who survives this year break, and when we come back, are we going to see new seeds start to take form? It's like the asteroid wiping out the dinosaurs. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's not. I don't know, but it could be.
Well, the amount of creativity that I'm seeing on social media by people doing these quarantine videos. Like I've done a bunch of them with various musicians and stuff, and things like that really, really help keep music, real music alive. Not just programmed, drum loops and sequence stuff, and which is all great, because it's very popular. But in terms of the craft and the art of, playing music with humans,
right,
and not playing to a backing track or something, is still, really, really like next week, on my social medias, I'm releasing a quarantine video that I did with a bunch of musicians, a cover of Lido Shuffle by Boz Scaggs.
Okay.
It's myself, Greg Smith, who's my bass player with Nugent, who played with Alice Cooper and Rainbow, and he lives in Pennsylvania. I live in Detroit. We got Lenny Castro, who's the most recorded percussionist from Toto, playing congas, and he lives in LA. And we had a great female vocalist from Texas sing on it, and it was all put together by my drum tech Randy in Arizona. So these type of things are just absolutely phenomenal right now, and and just a crucial part of kind of accepting this change in the industry right now.
Right.
Absolutely. Jason, speaking of your social media, everybody should check out yours because I want you to tell people how to find you, but I want to tell you that I love that E minor shuffle, that David Page from Toto track. That was pretty awesome. That's my favorite current quarantine video of all bands. So cool.
Thank you.
Now,
That's a deep cut.
That is a great track. Now, tell everybody how to find those quarantine videos on Facebook and the best place to find you online and on social media.
Well, I always joke because I'm the most easily found person in the world because, not too many people have the name Jason Hartless. Just so happen two of them live in the same house, one being my father. And, Jason Hartless on all Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all that crap, you can find me so easily.
Great. And Jason, before we let you go, I got to tell you something that you don't even know yet, that it's not breaking, it's a joke, but there's so many people in your life named Jason. There's you, there's your dad, there's Jason Al, the cop, there's Jason from Prudential. And so I just found that out today. So everybody I think in business with you is Jason. So I told your dad that if I ever become a big time TV producer, I'm going to have a show called Senior, Junior, and the Cop. And it's going to be you guys, you're going to be rock and roll crime fighters. And I'm going to be, this was your dad's idea, like the Charlie from Charlie's Angels. And I direct you guys to go out and do things. So it's called Senior, Junior, and the Cop. And it's going to have like a 70s vibe.
That's awesome.
Nice. Working on the screenplay now, right?
Yeah, it's gonna. I think it's gonna be a hit. It's gonna be a big hit.
Sounds like it, man. So, Jason, thank you so much for hanging with us. It was great to meet you, and please continue doing what you're doing. It sounds like you are not only making music, but I love the whole stuff with the vinyl. I'm a big vinyl guy myself, and like you said, I think it is really important when this stuff is reissued that it is something special, and some, not to mention any names, but some artists and bands and labels do a better job at that than others. So thank you for your work on that end too. And please, keep us posted on everything you're up to.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Thanks again, Jason.
All right, talk to you guys soon.
All right, man.
Take care.
Cool.
Yeah, Jason's so cool, Mark.
Yeah.
And he's so young and he's so good. I mean, when you see, I'm a drummer. I went to Berkeley. I am blown away when I watch this guy play. So out of control.
I can't believe Anthony Esposito is watching the stream, man.
I love Anthony. Anthony, you got to come on.
Other people too. Let's see who we have going on here. Rick Lees. He is.
Oh,
talented.
Rick Lees is my good friend from PA. One of my best all-time friends. We saw Iron Maiden and Ace Frehley together back in '88.
Nice.
I've known Rick since kindergarten, I think.
We have Sherry.
Sherry and Michelle. Those are my good friends. They're going to be part of our marketing team.
Oh, all right. Jason Al.
Yeah,
Janie,
that's Jason the Cop.
That's Jason the Cop. Okay. Janie Smith. Yeah, so a lot of people.
Janie, that's my Aunt Janie. What's that?
Okay. 54 comments already. That's crazy.
Good.
Bert Gabriel wants to know where Bud Friendly is.
We got to bring him back. You know what? We ought to have him
bring Bert Gabriel back or Bud Friendly?
Both. Bert Gabriel and Bud Friendly. We got to bring them both back.
Bert Gabriel was a kid. He's probably well into being a grown-up now, but he was a kid who would call into our show and curse, and he called in from like we never knew if he was in California or Tijuana or back and forth. I think he was a crazy guy. We met up with him once. Do you remember?
In New York. I remember.
In New York
we went
once
out
for like drinks with
Bert Gabriel. Yeah. Bert Gabriel, his name on Facebook is Gabriel Ray Noriega. And you know, it's really funny. He was posting some funny stuff on one of the early episodes, and it said like, we had that. He was posting some funny stuff, and my mom thought that Bert Gabriel, or it said Gabriel, so she thought it was a girl named Gabrielle, and she was like, "Oh, who's that girl, Gabrielle?" And I go, "I think you mean Bert Gabriel," and he was just kidding about the secret relationship.
Yeah, so that was. I mean, we've been doing this so long, John. I mean, I was thinking earlier today about like Z-Man. We had the Talking Metal forums and like Z-Man and John Exciter, John Casamano. Remember he came up. I think he was on the Fuse show, the pilot, and
Yeah,
he came to New York. He was like, he mailed me like a bottle of like Southern Comfort or something. I can't even. Jim Beam, maybe it was.
Flying to hang with us.
I haven't heard from Exciter John Casimano in
we got to figure
10
out how
years,
he's doing.
man. But it's nice to hear from Burt Gabriel, some of the old crew.
I love Burt Gabriel.
And what I said to you earlier today in a text is absolutely true. Maybe it was yesterday. That I feel like, it's no secret that the podcast, you haven't been quite as involved with it as you used to. And
Correct.
This Friday night thing, if anything good has come out of this quarantine, and I'm not like one of these guys who's like, thinking it's all great. And I'll get into that. But if anything good has come out of it, it's been this thing, because we're having you back in the fold, having a drink here. It's really brought the flavor of the original Talking Metal back. And I'm going to crack open this right now.
I got to show everybody, I am drinking a vodka tonic. And of course, I'm drinking Dash vodka, my favorite brand of vodka from Texas. Ask for this wherever you can find vodka because it's great.
This is 1E IPA, and it's a lighter IPA.
Nice.
Because as much as I love IPAs, I can only drink them for about 2 hours, and then I just want to go to sleep. Or I get real cranky and start yelling at people. So, which is only 3 people because we're in the quarantine with Emily Harrison and Grant. So, but it's like I was like, go ahead. No, I
got to tell you a story. I got to say thanks to Hank and Rennie Reeves, my cousins, for the Dash vodka, and I got to tell you, there's been a scandal. Full-on scandal. Okay, and it's because I was trying to save $1. By this, and I'm going to give you a New Jersey COVID update. Okay, what
is that?
It says White Star. Okay, now White Star is a bar in Jersey City. Now I love.
Is that
White
where we
Star.
went right before the whole thing, the COVID exploded?
No, that was a different place. But White Star is a great place. They've got 2 locations in Jersey City, and here's the deal: it's not White Star's fault. It's not this fake can's fault. But here's what happens. In Jersey City, you still can, of course, go into restaurants or bars. You can only go to Target, you can go to Home Depot, and you can go to grocery stores and BJ's Wholesale Club. That's all that's open. So I keep going to all of those places. So White Star, one of the locations, one's like a block away, the other one's a little further away. They figured out that they can serve draft beer to go in these cans. And see, they have a cap that is really hard to get off, and I just got it off. So yesterday...
What do you mean they figure it out? Like legally they can do that?
Legally, yeah. So legally...
Man, I would kill for a draft beer right now.
Yeah, legally they can fill up this can with draft beer, and they got a nice selection, and then you take it to go. So I take the can of beer with the cap on that I could just, barely pull off, and I put it in my bag with my computer. That I used to do this Talking Metal live show. And guess what happened? The beer opened up and the computer is now destroyed. And luckily I have 3 other laptops and desktop. So I'm using
what kind of computer?
Nice MacBook, my favorite new MacBook. Man. So we're going to have to get that fixed. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drink beer out of this beer stein that I got from Mike Lincoln. Now, let me tell you this. KISS fans will recognize what this is. This is a beer stein from Germany that Mike Lincoln's Aunt Pat.
Okay, no one knows who Mike Lincoln is, though. So explain who Mike Lincoln is.
Mike Lincoln. Mike Lincoln is the drummer of Like It. And he's also...
And Like It is John's band.
Yes, my band Like It. And he's been in famous groups like Electric Frankenstein and a bunch of other cool bands. And in New York, in the East Village, he played with half of the bands that existed in that genre. He was in Sticky with the great late Georgie Seville. Very sorry to hear about him.
He was in Sticky. You're talking about Sticky like they're the Rolling Stones, man. What was been Sticky?
Sticky to me was New York's Rolling Stones. I love Sticky.
Okay.
So anyway, he gave me this.
I'm sure they were great.
Beer stein. And if you look in the KISS, I said Kissology. What was the book called that KISS released? The big KISS book. Maybe
History?
History.
Yeah.
They show a picture of Paul Stanley and Ace Frehley holding beer steins. Ace is like this big. Paul's is more like this size. But this is an authentic beer stein. It's called a stein, and it's from Germany, thanks to Mike Lincoln. So I will be using that to drink beer and no longer putting this in my bag with the computer. No offense to White Star. It was not their fault. It was my fault. So anyway, That's that. Another COVID New Jersey update. I want to thank a really great girl, Christina McGlynn, Facebook friend of mine, and Kiss and Ace fan. And look what she sent me. I just got it today. I'm going to put it up to the screen here. This is a Kiss.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Mask. And it says, "You drive us wild, we'll drive you crazy," which is part of Rock and Roll Night. And I'm going to demo what I will look like in the Kiss mask. So,
cool. And John, I haven't even told you this, but a good friend, Joe Ryan, out in California, who I hung with when I was out in LA back in September, he is attempting to help us get some Talking Metal masks made. And he even sent me like a picture of a prototype. So
wow, that would be
hopefully
really
those
cool.
will come through, and I think we'll reserve those for some of the hardcore Talking Metal fans and get those out to you guys. So stay tuned for Talking Metal masks.
That would be great. I got one more shout out to Night Bob of Night Bob Sound.
I was going to ask you about Night Bob. Night Bob, very famous mixer. Of course, he's in the Aerosmith book, the official Aerosmith biography. They talk about him in that. And I've met Night Bob. And what did Night Bob when I hung with him when I was with you somewhere, and he told me some like scandalous a story about one of the Aerosmith guys that I didn't believe, and then it actually ended up being true like a couple of weeks later. But Joey Kramer.
Night Bob is amazing, and that was a Joey's.
I shouldn't say I didn't believe it, but it was like whoa, I wasn't sure, but he was spot on.
Night Bob is, in my opinion, the best sound man that there is. And I'm not just saying that. Night Bob has done sound for my bands, Cherry Red, and, of course, Like It. And Night Bob is Ace's main guy. Night Bob, I met Night Bob first when he was doing sound with Ace Frehley back in 1987. Then he went on to do sound with Paul Stanley on his solo tour. He did sound with Ted Nugent, sound with Kiss. And he's been doing this since the 70s. And he's the best, and he's one of the coolest guys. And Night Bob, if you ever get a chance to just sit with Night Bob and for him to talk to you about stuff that happened back in the day, you'll never have you won't hear better stories from anyone. I'm convinced, because I don't think there's one single musician who has as many good stories, because Night Bob has just worked with everybody. And the other thing is everybody loves and respects Night Bob because they know he's just that good.
By the way, Z-Man, remember him checking in on the comments?
Yeah, Z-Man, nice.
So he is there. Victor Ruiz, Mars Attacks podcast, a great podcast, checking in. Rich St. Van.
Oh, yeah,
what
Rich
a book
is great.
He could write.
Rich is up here in Weehawken. And Delilah Krahelli, one of the greatest photographers from Rockstar Pics. And D, I have to, you know what I got to do? I promised D I'm going to show something. So stand by while I pull this off the wall. Hang on.
All right. So, guys, we've been putting these up as podcasts. So a few things. Oh, wow. What do you got there?
Look at this. This is a portrait that D shot of me playing on stage with Like It. And you can't tell this from the picture here, but it's honestly printed on like metal. So the photographic paper is metallic. It's insane. Wait till you see this in real life, Mark, when you come
Wow. Yeah, I can tell already.
Delilah, thank you so much. And her company is called rockstarpics.rocks.
Yeah, right.
And that's the website. And believe it or not, I'm part of the logo. This kind of looks like a K. So I'm part of the Rockstar Pics logo now. So
cool. Yeah, I see. It does look like a K. So Burke Gabriel, real quick, give me a 30-second answer. Burke Gabriel wants to know about the squirrel. I think you took a picture of a squirrel.
Yes. Okay. So the squirrel, guys, is I took a picture of a squirrel. The reason I just wrote squirrel was the other day. So here's what you do when there's COVID. I call it COVID time again, just like the song "Cold Gin Time Again." COVID time again. So when there's COVID time again, you hang out, you work during the day. I'm lucky enough to be able to work from home, so I work during the day, and then I go on a venture, and it'll take me somewhere in the area. Sometimes I walk like 6 miles, and then I come back. And on one of my walks, I took pictures of ducks and geese, and there was a big online thing about me not knowing the difference between a duck and a goose, or a male and female mallard duck, which now I do, thanks to everybody. I'm from the country, so I should know that stuff. However, I did not. So I posted the picture of the ducks, and then it said I saw some squirrels. And then there was a moment online where people thought that I thought that ducks were squirrels.
Oh, okay. All right.
So I was posting that picture of a squirrel to show that I know the difference.
To show that you actually recognize wildlife in Hudson County, New Jersey.
Some pictures of ducks, but I also saw squirrels, not pictures. I should have put remember that one album that you played on, and it said Ranger X, not pictured?
Right. Yeah.
I should have put squirrels, not pictured, but there was an online controversy about that. So that's why I posted that picture. I love that my friend Kim from Windber, PA, Kim Deo, she her maiden name is Kim Oldham, and we used to sit next to each other because Ostrowski and Oldham, we were the O's, and in school. And she posted like a funny thing about that too when I pictured a squirrel.
So we got like 12 minutes in theory, if he doesn't join early, until Rob Dukes, former Exodus vocalist, joins us. And I just want to finish what I started before. So guys, what happens to this is it goes up on YouTube. We need you all to subscribe to our YouTube channel, because if we can get 10,000 subscribers, apparently we can use the YouTube studios in New York City for free, I guess, and they'll help us with productions. So please, we're not even at 6,000. So we need everyone here to go to youtube.com/Talking Metal and subscribe. So these videos get posted there, and then the audio is used for a podcast, and and those go up, and sometimes we add music in and stuff on the podcast, so it's a little bit slicker and stuff like that. I tell you what, let's play right now Little Miss Dangerous by Ted Nugent on the podcast version. Is that all right, John?
That sounds great. Right here is Little Miss Dangerous by Ted Nugent.
Some 80s era Ted Nugent here on the Talking Metal podcast. And this is actually, we're doing a live stream. If you're listening to the podcast, this is the audio from the live stream. The video is posted on YouTube, and we do these generally every Friday night on John's Facebook page. So it's a lot of fun. We got Rob Dukes, apparently in about 10 minutes, he'll be joining us. Do you want to do a Brush with Greatness or a guitar? I can pick one of your guitars.
Okay, go ahead. Why don't you pick a guitar?
Okay, so behind you, it's like a black looking one. It's like.
Okay, I see it. Yeah, let me grab it. Guys, I'm going to show you something. This is you're getting all the tricks of the trade here. In like photography and television and the media industry, there's certain things that you're not supposed to see. So this Nightbomb shirt, which I love, was a 2XL. So I've got a hair clip on the back. So I wasn't going to show that, but that pulls it in. Anyway, that's a trick of the trade. I forgot I had that on.
Okay. Yeah, that's the one. Yep.
Okay, so this guitar here is a 2003 Gibson Les Paul Classic. Now, a classic is the same, in my opinion, as a Les Paul standard. It's just got a different name, but it's what denotes a standard from a custom is that a standard has many things. Single ply binding on the front, no binding on the back. And now this, of course, fans of Kiss will recognize it as something that looks like an Ace Frehley guitar because it's got 3 cream pickups and a pickguard. And these are, of course, DiMarzio pickups. And this is basically what Ace played. Now, the difference is that Ace is the one that Ace played that everybody knows is a Les Paul custom, as opposed to a Les Paul Standard, and that has multi-ply binding on the top and the back. But the cool thing about this guitar, there's a couple of neat things. This guitar originally had black Gibson pickups, and it kind of looked a little bit like Peter Frampton's guitar with those black pickups.
Okay.
And the coolest thing is that Larry DiMarzio of DiMarzio Pickups, which have been out since the 70s, actually was nice enough to send me these 3 double cream pickups, which he has. DiMarzio is the only company that's allowed to make double creams. And he sent them to me. I had them installed in Manhattan. And this is just a great, great guitar. And the funniest thing is that Ace Frehley, of course, of Kiss and, legendary Rock and Roll Hall of Fame musician, was here in this apartment, and he picked this guitar up. And the funniest thing is that one of the knobs flew off when he picked it up, and it was just pretty funny because he grabs the guitar and the knob goes flying. He's like, "What just happened?" I go, "Sorry, that one knob's a little loose." So this guitar has been played by Ace, and I honestly have to say that I think seeing this guitar again inspired Ace to dig out his black, or what they call ebony, Les Paul Customs, and start playing them again. And he did that. You could see him on the Spaceman record cover with his black, one of his old black ones, and he used it live around that time. So Ace inspired me, and then I re-inspired Ace, I believe. And the other historic thing is that if you look up online, Pete Townsend and the Hard Rock Cafe, the second guitar ever given to the Hard Rock Cafe was a Les Paul Standard with 3 cream pickups. And the story behind that is that Eric Clapton gave the first guitar to the Hard Rock Cafe, and when Pete Townsend heard about that, he goes, if you put up an Eric Clapton guitar, I'm going to send you a guitar so you can put mine up, because I'm just as good as that, or my guitar is just as cool. So
was that the Hard Rock in London?
Yeah, the Hard Rock in London.
Yeah, because I know Clapton was a big fan of the Hard Rock in London. I don't even know if he was an investor or what, but he like even like tweaked their menu and stuff. And wow. I know he was I think he may reside in Los Angeles now, but I know Clapton when he was in London, this is like back in the 80s, that he was a big fan of the Hard Rock Cafe when it was still kind of underground, before it went all corporate. I don't even know when it started in London. It could have been the 70s for all I know.
Yeah, I'd have to look it up, but yeah, I've always been a fan of Hard Rock Cafes, which is why my apartment looks like it looks, because I've got like the frame stuff and the guitars on the walls.
Yeah, well, I was too. And we used to go to the one when I everyone thinks I'm a Jersey guy, which I kind of am, but I actually went to high school in the Midwest. I went to junior high in Wisconsin and high school in the Chicago suburbs. And we used to go to Chicago when the Hard Rock opened there. And that was a big deal because I believe it was only the third Hard Rock. I think it was like New York, LA, Chicago at that time. And I remember being just in awe because they had Warren DeMartini's snakeskin. I guess it was a Charvel. I guess it was a Charvel, hanging on the wall there. Warren DeMartini, one of my favorite players, actually, and kind of unlike a George Lynch, who I'd kind of put in that same category. Like Warren, he's just kind of absent. They did that Rat reunion with him a few years back, and that was kind of ill-fated. But it's like he seems to me like he could still be out there. Like some people say George Lynch goes overboard because he's got 50 projects going on at once, But I would love to see Warren doing some projects with some different guys, mix it up, do it.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
He's doing stuff too.
Yeah. Oh, here we go.
Hey, we got Rob Dukes.
Rob Dukes checking in,
Rob,
ladies and gentlemen. Rob Dukes from Generation Kill, of course, Exodus, smoking a cigar. Rob, can you hear us? All right.
Rob, can you hear us?
Can you hear us, Rob? Rob, he's connecting his audio. Okay, that'll help. All right. Audio.
No,
it said audio's connected. Can you hear us, Rob?
Yes, I can.
How are you, man?
Rob, how are you, man? How's it going?
Good. What's up?
Thanks
fellas?
for coming on, Rob.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Yeah.
Rob is outside. Rob, how are you feeling, man? Because the last time I spoke with you, you said, you were recovering. You were about 90%. You feeling 100% now?
Yeah, I'm all better, man. Yeah. I guess I'd have to say that I'm all better, man. I went to the doctor to get looked and besides I have high blood pressure.
Right.
So I'm working on getting that down. So other than that, man, I'm all good, man. So anyway.
So Rob, for the listeners that might not know, what we're talking about is that you went to see Overkill out in Phoenix, I believe, and somehow ended up getting the COVID.
Yeah, I did. So Overkill, I was hanging out with Bob and beforehand, and then I was out in the crowd. First, I was watching from like the side in the like guitar area, and then I went out into the crowd and was kind of just standing out there watching and the full deal, you know what I mean? And then night and Wednesday I started out feeling good. Wednesday I didn't feel good, and then Thursday I actually left work early, like halfway through the day, and just like went home. I was like, "Fuck, man, I feel like I got the flu." Now this was March 3rd, so there was talk about it, but it wasn't like the way it's overtaking the news now. And then and then I was sick for like 2 weeks, man. I got quarantined by the doctor for 2 weeks and put on some meds. I ended up in the hospital at one point, getting albuterol put in my lungs because I had a really bad lung infection, and I was coughing so much that I started coughing up blood because there was nothing to cough up. It was like a dry, hacky, shitty cough.
Wow.
And then but fuck, man, can we talk about anything other than that?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Out of the way.
So for people who don't know, Rob, you were with Exodus for how many years? 12?
Just 10 years, almost
10,
a full decade, like
10
a little
years.
less than 10. Yeah.
And I definitely want to talk to you about your time with Exodus, but right now you always have a lot of cool stuff going on. And right now you got some Generation Kill stuff in the oven, right? There's going to be a new record. Zeus is going to be mixing and producing.
Well, at this point he's mixing it for sure. It's actually because everybody is kind of spread out. We're not sure like what we're going to do about that. I didn't really ask him to do that. I just asked him to mix it at this point.
Okay.
But we'll cross that bridge when we get there, because it's not like we can get in a room all together and make an album. So what we did was we had a bunch of songs. We actually had a bunch of songs, and then we kind of abandoned those and started over and wrote a bunch of new songs, and then just kind of it kept the ball rolling. We got sidetracked a little bit with just some family stuff that went on and some other personal stuff that went on. So but we persevered, we pushed on, and now we're I got 6 songs done. I've been doing them over at Mike Gilbert from Flotsam and Jetsam lives like 2 minutes from me, and he's got a really cool setup in his house. And so I did all the pre-production with my buddy Craig Safola and I was doing all the button pushing for myself in my own, and it was just too it just takes away from performing. It takes away from the what you're doing when you have to like worry about.
You're cutting in and out a little bit.
So actually vocals, and so I've been flying them back and forth. And we're getting them done, man. We're getting the record done. It sounds fucking amazing, man. It's like we took We're All Gonna Die, and we said, okay, we're gonna up the game a little bit. So we did.
All right.
That's what we're doing.
And there's a new bass player with you guys now?
Mm-hmm. Guitar player, his brother Max is playing bass for us now. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And will there, obviously no bands are really doing live gigs at this point, but a year from now or 6 months from now, do you imagine doing some G-Kill shows?
Yeah. Well, we're supposed to do that Jersey Metal Fest in September. It was in June, but they relocated it to September. It's right there in Jersey. It's by you guys. So
Okay.
Oh, cool.
and I forget. It's at like some. It's either in Jersey City or Newark. I don't remember which.
Wow, that'd be great. So is it definitely going to happen, Rob?
Yeah. Well, they said it was going to be. They moved it to September. I forget the date. I should know that, but I haven't been paying attention. So he just said that. But you'll see plenty of posts and all that. And I was going to invite you guys. I was actually going to ask you guys to come, fucking like announce bands and come hang out and do interviews with people and we'd
love to.
And then
it'd be great.
We'd definitely do that for sure.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rob.
Cool.
That'd be great.
And hopefully it happens. I mean, I don't know if we don't know exactly what's going to happen. Who knows what the fuck's going to happen by September? But that's the plan. You know what I mean? So
cool.
Right.
Now, Rob, you're originally from this area, and we were lucky enough to jam with you at Dingbats in Clifton when we did our streaming metal show. And what made you decide to want to leave the New York area?
So I have my other passion is building cars, and the problem with the cars that I was coming across on the East Coast, vintage older cars, of course, they were just too rotted and rusty and just too much work. And I had come out here a few times. I liked the area. I liked the weather, and the cars have no rust. So that's what I followed to go do, So I kind of was like, I want to build cars when I'm not on the road. And then it just so happened that I ended up doing it full time. But I'm glad I made the move because I if I was in New York, I'd just be working on Honda Civics and shit. You know what I mean? I'd just be a regular mechanic. But here I work on I work at a custom, VW shop called Doug's Bugs in Mesa, Arizona. And we are the premier shop in Arizona for vintage air-cooled Volkswagens. We do everything from buses and bugs and off-road stuff. We do some really high-end off-road cars and some really high-end street cars. And we do everything in-house, man, from motors, trannies, paint, all of it, man. I've restored, in the last, couple of years, I've restored 5 or 6 cars that are full frame-off restorations. Everything is done, and they came out beautiful and they're awesome. And I've been doing a Corvette for myself. I found like a C3 Corvette. It's like the Stingray from the 70s. It's a 76.
Wow.
Nice.
It's a flat back window. And so I've been doing that for myself. I, rebuilt everything, and right now I'm getting it painted and then I throw the interior in it, and then I start driving it around.
What year did they stop making Corvette Stingrays? In the 70s, right?
No. They went from 68 to 82.
82.
That was the last year of so 82. So they went away, and then they changed the design, and it became the C4, which was a different car. Man, they're not really coveted. But then they changed it and made the C5, and then they made the C6, which is really a really nice car. And that's probably my next purchase because, having an LS in a car, an LS motor, it's fuel injected. You can get like 1,000 horsepower out of it for really like a couple grand. Where 350, I had to dump a shit ton of money in it to get 500 horsepower. So
right on.
Well, I love vets. My Uncle Jim has a 65 convertible that it's blue. It's like a light metallic blue. I can't remember what there's. There was an actual specific name that I can't think of for that paint job.
Right.
But he had that guitar, which is great. And my parents had what I would call a muscle car back in the day, and it was a '69 Chevelle Malibu, not an SS, but it was still cool.
Yeah.
Right on. So, Rob, you got the car stuff, you got the Generation Kill stuff, but you also have Dukes. You put out I guess it was 2 years ago, some great solo material. Any other solo material you're working on right now?
I'm working on it, man. I got like a few more songs I got to do to release the album. I'm just going to give it away for free and just, whatever. I just got to finish it up. I had some like personal stuff go on, so I had to I stepped away from everything for a while. I started doing I started doing stand-up comedy to kind of try to deal with the personal stuff going on in my life. And so I kind of stepped away from the music for, a few months and started doing stand-up, man. There's a bunch of clubs here. And so I just would go to clubs and I would just do stand-up and fucking talk about what was going on in my life. It was fucking crazy. It was, I just, I have a ton of comedian friends, you know what I mean? I have, just a bunch of people and I got inspired by them and I got kind of forced into it by Bobby Kelly. So he kind of forced me to, you should do it. So I was like, all right, cool. So here I am doing it. I haven't done it in a couple months because everything's closed, but I've been writing stuff down. But anyway, so I'm right now and kind of, we got 6 songs completely done. We're working on 2 more. It's going to be an 8-song record. And then I have a couple more songs to do with the Duke stuff. And then, hopefully kind of, writes itself. And then we're able to go out because I feel horrible for so many people. I feel horrible for the tech guys and the crew guys because, I knew a lot of them, how they lived, and they weren't expecting this, you know what I mean? And it just, It's heartbreaking to think about people that weren't ready for this or people that were trying to recover maybe from something that was happening bad already before this. And they were like on the cusp of fucking getting their shit together. And then all of a sudden, boom, they're fucking thrown back in the fucking lion's den of fucking madness. And, so I've been reading a lot of, I watched The Mandalorian 4 times.
Oh, you're up to 4 now. Wow.
I don't know. I watched it 4 times. I love that Bill Burr was in it and Michael and Brian Posehn was in it, man. I was
that's right.
Brian Posehn.
A lot of cool people, Yeah.
So
he's great.
With the comedy stuff, when you started doing it, did you go back and study some of the great comics, or did you just kind of go for it?
They tell you should practice and write stuff down, and so I didn't do any of that. I just kind of walked up. So I had a whole plan of what I was gonna say. I had this story that happened to me on tour, and that was what I was gonna do. I'm gonna tell this story. It's like 5 minutes. I have 5 minutes on stage, and the guy that went ahead of me kind of threw me off because he said something funny, and then when I walked on stage, I commented on what he had talked about, and it made everybody laugh because it was kind of funny. And then I just ended up just talking about my day and like what I was going through, and it just ended up being funny.
So it's kind of therapy for you too.
So it was total therapy, man.
Yeah,
it was total fucking therapy.
And I mean, that's amazing too, because you're going through some stuff that's some real shit, but you're able to take it out in public, release it, and have people laugh at it. I can see how that would be rewarding.
It actually, to be able to laugh at myself about it, like it was just, you hold on to these think are so important, and then you something else bad happens, and then the other things you're like, oh, what was I whining about that for? Because this is way worse, So that's kind of what happened, and I've been reading a lot. I'm reading this. I read this book, man. It has blown my mind. I'm gonna suggest it to everyone watching. It's called Charles Manson and the CIA and the Secret History of the 60s by this guy Tom O'Neill. And it is by far, it is the best book I've ever read. It is mind blowing how fucking crazy the 60s, the starting in the 50s led up to this era in the 60s that was just filled with turmoil and craziness and all the stuff that nobody talked about. And this guy investigated it and dug it up. And he wrote a book about it, and it is absolutely fascinating. And I have been obsessed with all the books that he mentioned. I bought them all. So I have like
Right.
6 books right now that I'm in the second one and I can't wait to, like, you know, and I'm just.
What's the name? Tell us the name of the book again.
It's called Charles Manson and the CIA and the Secret History of the 60s.
Wow.
And
Okay.
it's by Tom O'Neill. Great book. Heard about it on Rogan's podcast and was just interested in what the guy said. And then next thing you know, man, I started reading the book and it's so much more in depth than the podcast was. And then I actually wrote the guy and told him what a fucking amazing book was. And he wrote me back. And it was like, yeah, it made my day, man. I fucking, you know. So anyway, man, it's just, I've been reading a lot. I've been, just working a lot and just trying to, you know, stay home and not get sick and not make anybody else sick. And just, but I have like this, there's this little outdoor patio place by my house. You can go sit in there and nobody, and it's like a little, you know, just nobody fucking fucks with me and I don't fuck with anybody. And nobody sits near me. I'm kind of by myself, and I come out here and hang out, smoke a cigar a couple times a week, and then I go home, and you know, so that's
so Rob,
my life has become very simple.
Well, it looks relaxing and cool. Rob, being a professional touring musician, what do you think? What's your opinion on when concerts are going to start up again, and if they're going to be different, or if the industry has changed forever, or what? What do you think?
I'm on a podcast. Oh. Yeah. I think it'll be till next year. I don't think it's going to be this year. And even next year, man, I mean, I don't know how, until they get a vaccine, I mean, they can't really guarantee that. I mean, how could you go to a concert with 1,000 people, even if you're wearing masks? Like, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't, it's too compact. But, you know, I'm a fucking idiot. So what the fuck do I know, man? I mean, I wouldn't want my friends to go. I wouldn't want people to be jammed in. I wouldn't want, God forbid, that you ask people to come see your band and then 3 people get sick and die. I mean, that
Right.
would be fucking, I mean, I don't want to live with that. You know what I mean? I'd rather just, let's wait till there's a vaccine. I mean, but look, beyond just the simple, you know, bands playing, I mean, the bigger bands will be okay. The bigger bands that had you know, big ass bank accounts and they have backing, they're going to be fine. But a lot of the smaller bands are really going to suffer because, you know, even being a musician and working a full-time job is really, I mean, look, I'm not trying to make excuses, but there was something to be said for when I was in Exodus, I only did Exodus. I focused on that constantly. I perfected my craft. I got better and better. I joined other projects to kind of keep my keep it up when I was, you know, when I was going through had a month off or whatever, I'd find some. That's how Generation Kill started. I had like a 2-month layover in New York, like, together with some friends, and said, "Hey man, let's fucking jam." And I jammed with you guys, and I jammed with plenty of people. I would just play music with people just to keep it rolling. But you know, during that time, I think in 10 years I did the 10,000 hours, the crafting of what I was doing. But now that I have a regular job that's, you know, 50 hours, you know, I come home at night and I shower, I eat, you know, I take care of my pets, and then you know, then I'm supposed to sit and write, you know what I mean? And I can't like force inspiration, and it doesn't really just happen that way. You guys are both players, you know. But sometimes,
Right.
man, you'd be, you know, a lot of my best work used to come at 2, 3 in the morning when I'd be up and I'd wind down and everything would shut off, and you know, my ex-wife would go to bed and I would just have the house to myself, and I put on headphones and then I would start creating, and it would go till, you know, sometimes 6, 7 in the morning, and then I'd go to bed and sleep out, wait till noon, and then go, you know, I mean, it was just a different lifestyle. And for the younger bands that have to go and they're gonna have to go find jobs now to feed themselves and to house themselves but you know, when you got a ton of stress on you to do that, man, it really fucking it's got to be difficult to. I find it difficult to
it drains your creativity.
Right, for sure.
Absolutely, man. You know, and that's why it's like a starving artist. There's something to that. You know what I mean? There's something to when you're starving or when you're hungry that you work so fucking hard at it because you're not doing anything else. You're not thinking about fucking payroll or whatever the fuck you do for work. You know what I mean? Or you're focused on that.
So Rob, well, he froze.
I remember my friend asked me, really fucking good. And he, oh,
you froze up for a minute.
Real quick. Oh,
go ahead.
My friend was a painter, and he said to me, "Hey man, do you think I should go to school to like be a teacher for painting?" And I go, "Dude, the moment you do that, you are no longer a working painter artist. You're a teacher." And he called me like 10 years later, and he went, "Dude, you're right. I should have never fucking gotten a teaching degree." I'm like, I told you, man.
Hey Rob, I wanted to ask you,
but he's never lived in his car.
Wow,
right.
When you were with Exodus, there was many big festivals with super famous bands, and you mingled with a lot of real high profile people. Who did you meet that really like kind of shook you? Like, I can't believe I just met fill in the blank. Was there anybody that really took you aback as far as their level of, let's say, greatness or your admiration for them?
Mike Patton.
All right.
Go for
Mike Patton was he was awesome, man. I mean, he was super nice to me. You know what I mean? He we got introduced by a mutual friend, and it was funny. Was Danny DeVito was staying there too. It was kind of cool, and I met Danny DeVito, and then so we were all talking, and it was just it was cool, man. We were talking about stuff, and then so that he was cool. And I have a quick story. I actually thought about it today because I heard Rocky Mountain Way today. I met Joe Walsh once in California, and I was drinking coffee, and I met Joe Walsh, and we talked for an hour outside this little coffee shop, and never mentioned the Eagles or James Gang or anything once. We were just talking about life itself and a life after quitting drinking. That's kind of what we were talking about. And music never came up. I didn't tell him what band I was in, and he didn't mention it. And I didn't mention, hey man, like I didn't mention, hey dude, I went and saw you one time open for Richard Marx, man. You were awesome. Like, because I loved
right.
Joe Walsh's guitar playing. Always have. Anyway, and we sat and we talked. I never mentioned music. And so he was special, man. He was a cool guy.
That's great.
There's been others, man. Yeah. Peter Tagrin from Hypocrisy and the band Pain. What a beautiful human being. I mean, crazier than fuck, but he was so fucking cool to me. And like just watching him, the way he, sang. And I remember telling him, I go, dude, I can't remember lyrics. I fuck them up all the time. He goes, so does everybody. Don't worry about it. You'll be all right. And it took the pressure off. It took the pressure off of me because it was my biggest hang up is that I just, for some reason, I just couldn't retain lyrics unless I did them every day over and over and over again. And then sometimes I'd fuck up live, of course. And then, and he goes, man, everybody fucking does that, man. It's just no worries, man. Fuck it. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Now, Rob, what kind of a situation were you in where you've got Rob Dukes of Exodus, Danny DeVito, the actor, and Mike Patton of Faith No More? Just to go back to that real quick, what situation was that?
Oh, okay. So I went to Coachella, and I was watching Phantomas. So Mike was playing with Phantomas, and Lombardo was playing drums. And Buzz was there, and Chris from Jane's Addiction was playing bass, and Mike, and we all kind of were backstage because I had a full VIP, so I was backstage, and we hung out. Actually, you know who was there too was the singer from the Prodigy. I can't remember his name.
Wow, the guy who died, right?
Yeah, Keith. And so we were all kind of hanging out. Yeah. So, and so then so after that, me and Keith, we hung out, we watched Phantomas, and then me and Keith went and watched this guy DJ Z Trip, and it was him. And then we watched Cut Chemist, and we watched DJ Shadow. Like we went from this rock tent to the DJ booth, and it was all kind of new to me. But I've been a fan ever since, man. I have every one of their records. I buy DJ shit all the time. These guys were unfucking believable, man. It was fucking great. So that was that weekend. That's how that transpired.
That's cool. Very cool.
Cool. So I know you're friendly with Gary Holt and the Exodus guys. Do you ever envision that you could maybe work with Gary or any of those guys outside of Exodus doing some other music? Is that ever a possibility?
Well, actually, Gary did a solo on the first Generation Kill single that's coming out next month.
Oh, wow. Nice.
So we're releasing in June, and Gary did the solo. So we're probably gonna have like a lyric style video kind of thing. Probably not much of us. I have an idea for what we're gonna do with it, and the song is fucking awesome, dude. It's like I said it to him. I said, "Hey, man, will you do a solo for me?" And he's like, this a year and a half ago. And he was like, and then I was like, well, listen to the fuck song and then fucking tell me. So then I said to him, and he wrote back immediately, goes, fuck yeah, I'll do it. So the song is fucking very fucking cool and very fucking heavy. So, yeah. So that's that. Lee's going to play on it. I got Rick Hunolt going to play some shit. I did some stuff with Jack and Tom, with my buddy Craig Safola, with his band called New Messiah. We did just a couple cover songs and stuff just to kind of keep things going and flowing and stuff. I actually, it wasn't really in the mind frame to write new music at the time. So I did some cover song. I did a Petty song. I did a Lynyrd Skynyrd song. I did a Turbo Lover by Judas Priest. Nice. Only because everyone was like shitting on that song for fucking ever. And I'm like, you know what? That song's fucking great. Fuck you guys. So I went and I fucking did it. So,
right. Cool.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. I just was realizing that you've been on Talking Metal so many times we did the Talking Metal Jam with Exodus. Then we did another jam later on. And then we did the thing at Dingbats. So, Rob, you've been a guest on, I remember the first time we met, I think it was at the Circus Bar in the Hell's Kitchen area. Remember that, Mark?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah. We talked about Star Wars for like 4 hours, man.
I do remember.
I love that.
I remember in that interview that you did with us at the Circus Bar, I mean, you really got your start in kind of the music business as you were. It's funny because now you're working on cars, but you were working on guitars, right? Yeah. I was like a guitar tech, and I fixed stuff, and I was always tinkering with something. I mean, I kind of always had the knack for that, but that was. Who were you teching with? Were you out on the road with bands as a tech? Yeah. I did a bunch of tours, man. I was, a lot of just because I lived in LA. I had access to like 4 different clubs. So you could actually work multiple clubs in a single night for like $150. So I could make like $400 in a night and like 4 or 5 nights a week. And that's what I was doing. I was working at the Key Club, the El Rey, and a couple other clubs. And then I would so I'd unload bands there and then drive over to the other one, unload bands there. And this kind of made it I worked with the same group of people, and we were all kind of we had worked a couple of festivals together, and we did a Warped Tour and stuff like that. So it was like, back then, man, it was the early 2000s. It was a good way to make money. I mean, I was living in LA. I had a really awesome apartment, and I was making fucking killer money and just fucking hanging out, fun, just teching for all sorts of different people. And then I went on tour with Satyricon. I went on tour with Buck Cherry, and then I got the Exodus gig because somebody got fired on the first night. Somebody called me and said, "Hey man, Exodus and Megadeth need a tech right now."
where are you? And I was like, I'm just finishing up a gig. I can go home and grab some clothes. And they're like, all right, okay, cool. Grab your passport because you're going to Canada. I was like, all right. And I fucking went and did that and jumped on the tour. And then at the end of the tour, they offered me the gig. You know what I mean? They offered me not the gig. They offered me a tryout. So I did that, and then I ended up getting the gig. So, yeah. But the whole time, I never stopped tinkering with shit, man. I always fixed stuff. I always worked on. I always had cars in my house. I was always working on Volkswagens or dune buggies. I got a picture of me, man. Dave Lombardo came to my house. We did. You guys remember that band Film that he did?
Yeah.
He did this band. So the day I went to the Big Four in New York, right? Picked up Dave the next morning in my car, drove him to my house, and we went and did 4 shows with Film, Generation Kill and Film. We played 4 shows together.
Wow.
Dave came to my house, and I pulled him in the driveway. And I was like, dude, I built this fucking street dune buggy. It's a tube frame Volkswagen powered streetcar that's totally legal on the streets in New York. But I was like, dude, you got to come take a ride in it. And I have pictures of him strapping himself in, and I take him to drive in this fucking car. He was scared out of his fucking mind, dude. It was fucking awesome.
Wow.
It was so much fun. Anyway, I was always,
awesome.
I always did like real, always I do real long motorcycle trips. I've ridden across this country 8 times and never went the same way. Right now I have a long distance touring motorcycle. Makes it a lot more comfortable. I used to do it on a sport bike, but I do long trips by myself. My trip this year was to Pikes Peak, but it got delayed. So I'm going to head out there in July for just a couple days, just to go ride up Pikes Peak. And then, man, life's weird, man. I do what makes me happy. You know what I mean? Right now it's about not getting sick or not getting anyone else sick and trying to be a better being. So,
Right. And of course, before we let you go, I got to ask you one Star Wars question. We've heard that there's going to be another movie, right? Did you heard that?
I was hoping they would do the rise of Darth Vader, like how I would like to see the moment that the Emperor finds him in the lava and then takes him. Because if you ever read the book, the book's fucking amazing. So he picks him up and he brings him into this chamber and he gives him metal legs and metal arm and a breathing apparatus together. But he can't fight or anything because he's all metal. So you remember how he was like a tinkerer when he was a kid, right? So he starts redesigning his own body to fight better so he can learn how to, and he uses the Force and he becomes
You're freezing up, man.
and at one point in his better, good.
Oh, there you are.
Better?
Yep, yeah, we lost you for a little bit, but we heard you say that he was using the Force to rebuild his own body.
Right. Okay. Right. So then he gets inside this chamber, and for a moment, he doubts. He goes, I'm in fucking pain here, and I'm learning. And he reaches out to the Force, and he goes, maybe I fucked up. Maybe I shouldn't have killed all those kids. And the dark side just squeezes his fucking heart, and he's like having a heart attack, and he can't breathe. And he goes, "Forget it. I'm sorry. I'm glad I killed all the kids." And then he kind of just did it. It's fucking amazing. And I wish they would
make that into a movie.
I'm like, oh, that'd be so fucking cool to say. Watching. I would like to.
All right, Rob, you keep freezing up, man. There, Rob, you're frozen.
I hear him. He's in there. I think it's
really
the Force.
Space Time we're starring.
Yeah, I think the Force has frozen you, Rob.
I'm frozen.
Don't talk badly about Darth Vader.
Fucking.
Hi, Emily.
Hi, dude.
Fucking Disney. Hey,
look who's here. It's Emily.
Yeah. Fucking. It's the Disney. Disney doesn't want me talking about this. Disney was
they don't want anybody to hear that idea.
Right. Very good. Well, Rob, it's always great talking with you, man, and we're glad you're doing well. And please keep us posted. I'm very excited to hear the new Generation Kill single. Actually, you played it for me. I don't know if you remember, but you sent me a raw version of it a while back. But I'm excited for the rest of it.
A while back, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure
it's actually better now because I redid the vocals and Zeus is mixing it, so it's gonna sound fucking sonically like insane. So
cool.
Anyway. Yeah,
I think that's breaking news that Gary Holt will be playing on it, right? That hasn't been, it's not out there yet, right?
I don't know. Maybe I don't remember if I said it to anybody, but if I didn't, I hope I didn't, and you guys got it first. That's all.
All right.
Thank you very much, man. Rob. That's awesome. And Rob, we appreciate you coming on. You're welcome to come on Talking Metal anytime you want. We love you. And
one more.
Go ahead.
One more thing. One more quick thing.
Yeah,
John,
man.
do you remember me running into me in the middle of the fucking New York City at 1:00 in the morning randomly? Me and John just ran into each other. I was walking down the street, and we were just, and then and we're just like, oh fuck, there you go. Yeah, in the middle of Manhattan, of all those fucking people, as big as that place is, walking down the street, John standing right in front of me. Hey man, what's up? And then
I completely remember that, and that's how I swear to God, stuff like that happens to me. I think we're drawn together. We're drawn together.
Mm-hmm.
Metal is drawing us together.
Awesome, cool. All right, Rob. Well, enjoy your cigar there. Stay safe, man, and
Thanks,
hopefully we'll be able to travel again. Next time you're in New York, we got to hang for sure.
You know.
And Rob, if the shows in September happen,
if I want, you'll hear about it, man. I'll talk with Mark. I'll post it, and you guys know about all that. So
absolutely, and would love to introduce you guys and come and hang out and do interviews. It'd be awesome.
Fucking A, man. Right on, dude. So love you guys,
Rob.
man. You guys be good.
Take it easy, brother.
Thanks, bud.
See you later.
Bye.
All right, take care, man.
Take care.
Bye. Bye, Emily.
Bye.
Take care, Mark. Bye, Emily.
Kisses.
Cool. All right. So another double header here with two interviews. Little bit of connectivity issues there with Rob, but I think it was
it was still cool. I think it was great. Yeah, it was fine. Luckily, it seemed to, correct itself a little bit. Let me see if I can get us back to where it's just us two, and so that I don't.
I have to go to the bathroom, so I'm going to let Emily take over for a bit.
Okay, Emily is going to take over. Okay, very cool.
Make me a yummy drink.
Yeah, sure.
Make me something yummy. Hi. Oh, I'm wearing my yoga pants. It's glamour. It's glamour here in Strigl land. I just unclogged a toilet. My boys threw 10,000 wipes into the toilet and thought they would flush it. That was fun. So the days of rock and roll glamour are over for me.
Well, Emily, how are you? I am happy that you were taking the time to hang out. You always have stuff going on. Like the last Friday, I think you had your own Zoom thing going on another computer in a different room.
That was 2 Fridays ago. Last Friday, I was doing my roots for the first time. I did my hair. And I was upstairs. I was upstairs bleaching my hair.
I just dyed mine black today. So, a lot of people don't want to try to dye their own hair. With this, it's really easy. You just put black dye all over. And I'm happy to hear that you do it yourself too. You don't need to go to a salon.
No, but I never had. This was my first time, so I was really nervous. And I actually woke up on Saturday morning, last Saturday, and I mixed up a new batch of the bleach solution, and I had Mark touch up all the areas that I missed.
I read that. I saw you got a post about Mark touching up. I forgot to tell you about that.
It was great. And he actually enjoyed it, I think. He was like, I'm kind of good at this, So it was fun.
I'm an expert. If you ever, if we're ever quarantined together, I can help in the future.
Are you really?
I'm a hair expert.
Are you seriously?
I'm a hair dyeing expert. I know how to I know how to mix. I've got the tools and stuff.
Are you serious? I'm totally going to call you next time.
Sometimes usually I just buy like the standard, off the shelf stuff at the grocery store, but or at like the pharmacy. But if I really want to, I can go to the hair places and get different mixes, and you get like a little bowl and you mix them up. And so I'm an expert at that. Too bad. I used to have. Remember, I used to have that, white lion style haircut. Now I've just got this.
Yeah.
But at least I got some hair on the head. It's not that great, but at least there's some there.
You got some hair, dude. I love your hair.
Look at this. It's long now. It's actually. I need a haircut. But you can't see it with this black shirt. But.
No, it looks good. I think your cut looks good. I remember the pictures from Berkeley.
I cut it myself.
The pictures when you were at Berkeley.
Oh, yeah, that's my best haircut. I wish I had that old hair. That was my favorite hair. But
and your hair was like frosted. It was like frosted.
It was totally frosted. My hair was blonde. It was light brown with frosted, like your blonde. Like, that was I wish I still had hair like that. But sadly, I don't want to mention the age, but everybody knows what age group we're in. I was born in 1969. So, hey, you can't always, I'm coming to grips with that. I need psychological counseling because I still think of myself as that Berkeley hair, like that, Slaughter White Lion. Well, actually, when I went to Berkeley at first, it was more like a Bon Jovi. And then it was like a Dave Meniketti, and then it became a Bon Jovi. And then that's the Dave Meniketti, he's in Y&T. Then it became a Bon Jovi. Then I was going for the Blas Elias Slaughter look. And
I love
it. It was never that cool, but it was my graduation from Berkeley pictures. It was
his hair was long though.
Blas's hair
he
had really long. Yeah.
Yeah,
he was the coolest in my opinion.
Was your hair permed or was that natural?
Perm. It was perm. Yeah, perm.
Mark had a perm. I don't think Mark had a Mark. I don't know if he had a perm.
No, I believe Mark may have had a perm.
I know he did in high school. I know he did in like high school.
Oh, okay.
And it wasn't necessarily a good perm either.
We got to ask Mark to dig out some perm photos, but Mark has the best hair. He's always worried about his hair, but he's never going to lose his hair. He's got great hair.
He's got good hair.
When you can grow bangs as long as he does, this is the hair segment of talking about it. Grow bangs as long as he can. That's the key to success because all the people on the Hair Club for Men site wishes they could grow bangs.
I know, right?
No,
he does.
I at least have some bangs, so that's. Then I don't know what you're calling them, but they would be called. I don't know
bangs, right?
Bangs, but they're not
can you see what that says?
It says cheers. Is that handwritten on there?
No. It's just cheers. Cheers. I'm classy. I'm classy. I drink out of plastic cups.
Yeah, but did that plastic cup come with the word cheers written on it?
It did. Oh, cool. What was the last party we had? What was it? For your 50th.
Yeah.
For Mark's 50th. I think I bought a bunch of these do you want your chair back?
Was that the party that that was the one where Mike Lincoln, like it, was having more of a good time than he normally does. Because Mike usually doesn't drink that much, and he was.
Oh no, you did.
That was 2 years ago.
Yeah, that was a while ago. This is the recent one. Yeah, you guys were out in California.
Oh heck, right. We were on tour, so we missed that party. Sorry.
Yeah, so I think you're thinking of the party where the morning after I opened our dishwasher and there was a giant divot of grass in our dishwasher.
How did that happen?
Exactly. It was a good party. That
was great. Speaking of that, I remember Hollywood, formerly Shermy Sheldon was there. Right, Mark?
Yep, definitely.
So, guys, for Facebook people who do not, you know what? I made fun of a few people on television who had, not to their face, but who had mishaps with technical stuff and not saying the right thing. And guess what? I am paying for that tonight because many times tonight I've not been able to say what I wanted to say. And we've had technical problems. So guess what? I'm getting a taste of my own medicine.
What were the technical problems? You mean just with Dukes?
I guess that's the only technical problem. So I think we did pretty good with the technical stuff tonight. I just don't think it was as eloquent as I could have been. And it has nothing to do with drinking. I think the problem is that I haven't been drinking enough. I think that's I think I need to have more. I'm not as good when I'm perfectly straight. I'm kidding around.
No, there's something to be said for that. It's a little more laid back, right?
Right.
But certainly when it's hard to get a rhythm going when you are having technical difficulties. And when someone keeps on freezing and you keep on losing a word here or there, it's difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we pulled off Rob's interview great, though. I think we did a good job. Mark, do we still have time for the Brush with Greatness segment?
You want to sit here?
Yeah.
You want to sit down?
Sure.
Well, Emily, you don't have to leave. You can both sit down. Pull up a chair. Emily.
I did want to. I don't know if we have.
Emily, I don't want you to leave. I want you to bring a seat in there. Oh my God!
Look at me in my yoga pants.
That nice Dio shirt on near the anniversary of poor Ronnie James Dio's passing.
Let's quickly see if we can read some comments here, though.
Okay, that's a good idea.
I just want to see.
I'm gonna look now.
You want me to help you? Where's my phone?
I'm trying to go to the actual stream.
Yeah, I'm gonna
because there's 190 comments. So let's just take a quick look. I love those little bastards. Bert Gabriel says, I don't know, a metal Darth Vader. Shauna Jones. Looking if there's any actual questions. Now, it won't let me scroll back through the comments.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I think that's a Facebook Live thing.
Yeah. So I guess we don't really have any.
But here's the thing. I haven't updated mine in a while, so maybe I can look at old comments. Let's see here.
I'm going to get my phone.
Oh, we got 202 comments. That's a lot.
Yeah,
Let me say a special thanks.
But yeah, I can do Brush with Greatness. Sure. You want to?
Okay, right now I pressed the button and showing me some of the people who commented. Right before we get into that, I just want to give a shout out to Shauna Jones, who we know from the MTV Library, Dave Arnold, who worked with us on Talking Metal, of course, Bert Gabriel.
On the Fuse Show,
David Craig Ellis, who is one of the greatest musicians that I've met in New York. Johnny Z, Jerry Vick, Patty Baylog, my aunt, John Oralema, Kevin Riley, Kyle Gunderson, and 196 more. So thanks to all of you guys for tuning in tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, please subscribe to the Talking Metal podcast on Google Podcasts or Apple Podcasts. And also subscribe to our YouTube channel. A big thanks to all the other sites that support us, like Blabbermouth randomly picked up our interview with Eric Turner. I didn't even send it to them. They must subscribe to the YouTube page. So big thanks to everyone out there who supports us. And yeah.
Weird sound.
You all right?
Yeah, but I'm hearing like a strange thing. You know what? I got it. My mic wasn't on. I think when I got up to do something, I forgot to put the mic on.
Yeah, much better.
Cool.
All right.
Sorry about that, people.
So we got about like 10, 15 minutes left. What do you want to do?
So let's do the Brush with Greatness segment. So this time, Mark, I'm going to ask you to tell me about a brush, and I'm going to turn there's some other.
And like I said to you before the show, because I know you could, if you pick any person, I will try to relate it to a brush.
I'm going to pick two people. Okay, I'm going to pick
go for it.
Miscellaneous people that I swear to God have nothing to do with each other.
A brush with greatness to them.
Yeah.
By the way, this is resin beer.
Oh, good.
6 points, very good. 9% alcohol.
So, the brush with greatness. I'm going to throw out two different people. One is a musician, and one is an actor.
Okay.
Okay. Musician, Elton John. Actor or actress, Drew Barrymore. So let's see if you have a story about either of those people or both.
Yeah. I do. So Drew Barrymore, I met her with my friend. His name was Tim Donnelly, and he now
I remember Tim Donnelly.
Yeah, he actually now does some big concert down in Asbury Park every year. But he was this kind of interesting guy. He worked at VH1. with me, but he seemed to know everybody. Like we'd go into, you know, he was more like from the like alternative grunge world, like, you know, all that great 90s music. Like he'd be like, oh yeah, come with me and we'll hang out. And then he'd be like, well, we pop into CBGB's is like, Mark, this is the guys from Social D, and they'd be hanging out. Or he'd be like, oh yeah, Eddie Vedder just called me, and you know, I just got a fax. Look at this fax I just got, and it's like a handwritten fax from like, you know, Perry Farrell. So he knew everyone, and he took me to this party. It was a closed party, invite only at Don Hill's. And
one of my favorite
Lollapalooza had been going on. So it was a Lollapalooza party for just the bands and the people working. So we got in, and Drew Barrymore had been in New York City at the time, and she had.
You telling the Drew Barrymore story again?
Yeah, per John's request. And so she had been on Letterman, and she did this crazy dance for Letterman where she flashed Letterman. And then she had been in Page Six. They said she had been dancing at Billy's Topless.
Oh, hey, FYI, just what they call a sidebar. You remember Lancito? Judge Lancito? OJ trial?
Oh, yeah.
He invented the word sidebar. This is a sidebar. Some of those great Roy's Baby, which was the band that Mark and I were in a long time ago, some of those songs were written after Mark and I were at Billy's.
Oh, yeah.
And there was one person at Billy's that really liked the song Twisted Valiant. And I remember this was an employee of Billy's, if you know what I mean. And she said, I like that through the ice and rain and snow, that lyric.
Yeah. I haven't listened to that song in a long time. I should pull
That's a great song. Twisted Valiant, Roy's Baby.
No one knows what we're talking about when we talk about
it's a great song.
That was a band John and I had at one point, and we recorded some stuff. So anyways,
go back to Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, so we're at Don Hill's, and Drew Barry, the band Hole was there. Among
Courtney Love.
Yeah, among everyone, like Dave Navarro and all these other people were there. So that guy, Tim Donnelly, who I was with, we were hanging out, and he started a conversation with Drew Barrymore, who was there, and she was dating the guy from Hole at the time. The other thing is, when I came into Don Hill's, because I had like long hair, a bunch of people came up to me and they thought I was the guy from Hole.
Oh,
yeah. Not great. A bunch, but there were like two people who thought I was the guy from Hole, which I don't think I looked anything like him. We'll have to look it up. But anyways, so then we started talking with Drew. He was talking with Drew Barrymore, and I said something to her. I said, "Oh well," I said, "You were in Page Six the other day. They said you were at Billy's." Topless, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I know they were reporting on that." And I said, "Oh, and you gave Letterman quite a dance the other night or whatever." And she was like, "Oh, yeah." And she said that, and then she had a like a sweatery type of thing on, and she just basically flashed us. Opened her, and she had no bra on. Opened her thing, and she smiled, and then she walked away. That's the extent of the story.
That's a great story. Wow,
yeah.
Very good.
Yeah,
tying into the Charlie's Angels. Wasn't she in Charlie's Angels? Newer one.
Yes, yeah, that was years. That would have been years after that.
Together.
Yeah, that would have been years after that. I'm trying to think if I have any Charlie's Angel stories. No, I have. Suzanne Summers could have been a Charlie's Angel, but. Are you gonna say something?
What was that topless bar that the three of us went to, like together in New York City in Hell's Kitchen?
That was Private Eyes.
Was it by Port Authority or something?
I
thought
you were That was
it? Was like a bikini bar.
Tables. It was small.
No.
It had tables.
Yeah. No, this was Private Eyes, which at the time we went, that was when there was a legal thing going on where strip bars couldn't be in certain areas, so they had to completely change the vibe of Private Eyes to a completely different vibe.
I remember going there with you.
Wait, where's food? Yes. No,
Yeah,
it was after. Okay, we went to an adult convention. Remember that?
No, that was not Private Eyes.
That wasn't Private Eyes?
No, we went, this is what that was. Evan Seinfeld of Biohazard had invited us, and what was his wife at the time?
Tara Patrick
had invited us to come
to
an adult convention.
Oh, that might have been Rick's Cabaret.
Yes,
Rick's Cabaret.
Yeah, that was it.
That's what it was.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And I remember I was at a table with you two, and I think they had food and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then
Rick's Cabaret.
we were getting up to leave, and these guys at the table next to us tapped me on the shoulder, and they're like, "Come here for a second. Are you with those guys? Are you?"
Right.
Remember that?
Like, those two dorks, like, you're the hot chicken.
No, but I think they thought I was a hooker, or so I don't know what they thought. It was hysterical. I was like,
I remember that. Yeah, no, you know what? The story I was thinking of, I think that was Rob Fiorentino. That was the Private Eyes. But
and I have a picture of you at the adult film convention, because do you remember a guy named Tyler Fire?
Yes, he was
Tyler
like
Fire
a
was at
member.
That. Right. Yeah, he was at the convention, and he lifted you up, and I have a picture of him holding you. Now, Tyler Fire was a freak show guy who breathed fire and ran a freak show, and then we saw him at Ozfest because Sharon had hired them to tour on Ozfest, and we went in there, and I said hi to him, and then right at that moment. You think you were there too? Mm-hmm. Sharon came in. Yeah, Sharon Osbourne came into the tent. Yeah. And I actually somewhere have a picture of that too, because I somehow snapped a picture of Sharon and Tyler Fire and the burlesque dancers or something.
Did he do stuff at Coney Island, Tyler?
Yes.
Yeah, Tyler Fire did stuff at Coney Island. And here's the crazy thing. That adult film convention was bringing it back to 2020 at the Jacob Javits Center, where the COVID hospital was.
Oh, okay. Right.
Oh,
right.
man.
So see that? We go from
our dog's barking and our kids are trying to sleep, so I don't know.
Jacob Javits and COVID beds. So that's what we did.
Right.
Back in the day. Okay, you didn't touch on the second question I had.
The Elton John story. My brush with greatness on Elton John is real simple. I was working with RuPaul. This is in 96, I believe. It sounds about right, 96. And I basically, there was the VH1 Fashion Awards, and I was working the press tent. And RuPaul, basically what would happen is when the stars would walk down the red carpet, they would pull them into the press tent. And I would have to quickly, I guess it would have been, I had notes on people who were going to be there. And we didn't know who was going to come in. So I'd have to quickly go to RuPaul and go in his ear and say, okay, this band you're about to interview, they're called Garbage. And the singer is from Scotland, and the rest of the guys are from Wisconsin. And the drummer produced the big Nirvana record and Smashing Pumpkins. And I'd have to, and RuPaul would have no idea who he's talking to. And I remember he turned to the Garbage guys. He was like, Wisconsin cheeseheads, and he had everything he could have talked to them about, and he was talking about that they were from Wisconsin, and so anyways, it was just star after star after star coming into the press tent, and it was a lot of fun that night. But I remember my other duty besides telling RuPaul what was who she was about to interview. I had to put microphones on people sometimes, and there are those little lavalier.
Like this one, kind of a microphone.
So basically, the best place to post clip a lavalier is right on the collar. So Elton John came into the press tent, and I said. He was waiting because it was basically, Ru was interviewing somebody else before Elton. And I said, hey, Ellen, it's an honor to meet you. And I was, really starstruck by Elton John. I said, Elton, I have to clip a mic on you. I said, so I'm going to have to reach in your shirt a little bit. And I went in with the clip mic, and he grabbed my hand like this, and he said, now in a very gay way, he said, be careful where you clip that mic. And he started laughing, this sinister laugh, like, so I don't know what that meant. Like if I was going to clip it on his nipple or something, but but
come on.
But yeah, that was my brush with greatness with Elton John. So,
well, you had two great brush with
Give
greatness.
me another. Yeah, any other names?
Okay.
Not a story I've told you. Give me any other, any random person.
Okay, let me think of a random person. Actor or musician?
Either sports star, musician, actor, politician.
Jay Leno.
Well, Jay Leno, I have a picture of him, which I've posted on Facebook, in San Francisco at a private event. I got to see Jay Leno do stand-up. Also, probably in '96, come to think of it. And he was already the host of the Tonight Show, but he did this private event, and he just killed it. And he was.
And you said he was dirty.
He wasn't dirty, but he was dirtier than he would have been on the Tonight Show.
I thought you meant dirty, like as in like not physically clean.
No, like his jokes were a little. A little bit more so than he could have gone on television. And we got to meet him afterwards. He was very cool. Got a picture with him. This is like pre-cell phone days, 1996. Extremely, extremely funny guy. And I'll admit, I was always a Letterman guy, as far as who I'd watch at night. But his stand-up, I had new respect for him because he just brought the house down. He was so funny, and he was so personable and such a nice guy that I really came to respect him and start to watch his show after that. And wow, what an amazing career he had,
Conan and Dave,
no doubt about it.
Or my favorite.
Yeah, Conan was great.
I like all those guys. I actually like all of the people that we're talking about. You know who I think was an amazing talent, and no one could dispute this, but I have a specific story. It wasn't that up close and personal, but Mark, you might even have been with me, or this could have been the year before, but I was out in Vegas for VH1 Rock Honors, and I was in the arena during what was a sound check, and Robin Williams, who was I believe hosting that year, just went up on stage. They brought him up on stage, and he just ad-libbed about like a 15, 20-minute bit, like completely ad-libbed, and it was amazing, just for the crew. And I'm so sorry that whatever was happening to him was that bad that it ended the way it did. But that was something that this wasn't like something he planned and, where there's a script and you kind of have like a little idea of what you're going to do. This was just Robin Williams winging it just for the heck of it, because he was standing up there waiting for them to do a sound check, and he was that cool. So that was just something that I was lucky enough to witness in my lifetime.
He was one of my first crushes.
Wow.
Mork and Mindy.
Yep. Mork. I love that show.
Oh,
and you
God.
know what the coolest thing is that in Mork and Mindy, I believe it was her father owned a music store.
I sort of remember that. Yeah. And
do you know where my favorite thing, music stores.
So Mork got his start on Happy Days. Do you remember that?
Right.
Yeah, Richie Cunningham had
how I missed that.
Yeah, Richie Cunningham had a Space Invader, like a alien encounter, and it was Mork landed like in his front yard.
That's amazing. Yeah, that is so cool. But the greatest thing about
Laverne and Shirley, those were the shows.
Oh, I love those shows. Laverne and Shirley.
Joni Loves Chachi.
I never watched that.
I watched a couple episodes.
Ever.
I feel like there may have been one other. I'm not sure, but
of like the pairs, like
of
Mork
the
and Mindy
spin-offs.
and Laverne and Shirley, and of the Happy Days spin-offs.
yeah, I mean, I could.
Yeah,
I could
and you know, I really like one thing. My friend Mitch Weissman, I believe, was on Joni Loves Chachi, and I believe Vinnie Vincent wrote music for that show. I could be wrong.
That is true. I
that is true.
seem to remember that. Yeah.
And you know who I really like? Lenny and Swiggy. They didn't have their own show, but they were part of Laverne and Shirley, and of course, Michael McKean. Of course, Spinal Tap, and I had this Brush with Greatness was supposed to be about Mark, but I had a brush with Spinal Tap a couple of different times, and it was really great. I met Michael McKean, Lenny, in makeup, in Spinal Tap character with the wig and everything. Right. How cool was that? And I told them that I would, because they had a problem with all their drummers with passing away, that I said if they ever need a guy, they should call Astronomy, and I would be the drummer. And I showed him a picture of me with one of those. It was one of my female counterparts, and they asked if she was.
Did she have big boobs? Is she the one?
They all did.
So what did they say, John?
What's that?
What did he say?
He just asked if he goes, we'll consider you if it's a package deal. Like if it's you and the girl, you get more chance of doing it. But if it's just you, it's not that good.
Right. There you go. Cool. All right, guys. Well, we're going to start to wrap it up here. And, how
are we doing on the show tonight? Let's see.
We're dropping off with the viewers a little bit. 21 people watching, so not a heck of a lot. Cool. But we had like 60 at the beginning or something. So
that's good. That's pretty good. Yeah. Well,
So some people rewatch it later.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It goes out as a podcast. And then also,
and people continue to watch it on Facebook at a later time because it still appears in the different feeds, and then we share it with a bunch of feeds. Right. And everybody who's been on will share it.
And do you want to end with a song for the podcast version, John?
Yes. I'm trying to think if I forgot anything. If I did, I'm going to be bummed out. But let's see. If I have anything, I have notes now, people. I have notes. And I think I've gotten everything. We did the kiss mask. Thanks again, Christina. COVID. I'm not making light of COVID, friends. And anyone who's watching that may or may not be a friend. I'm friends with everybody, but who knows? But sometimes I make little jokes, and that was one. COVID. Anyway, so I did the mask, I did the beer stein, I did the can of beer. Want to make sure that everybody goes out and buys a Dash vodka. I keep saying Zoom because we're doing a Zoom. We should
Zoom and Dash.
We're actually advertising for Zoom because it says Zoom on the bottom of the screen, but Dash vodka is awesome.
They're both verbs that mean to move quickly.
Yes, Zoom and Dash. So you're right. You're correct. You guys, I think I'm going to have to send you that Zoom unless we can get together at some point.
No, you gave me
Dash.
We were at your apartment right before COVID.
Yeah, it was like the weekend before this happened.
Yeah. So, and I remember, I think you gave me a little taste of that, Dash, and it was delicious.
It's amazing. Yes. And
it's really some of the, I tasted it too. And it's some of the best vodka you can get for sure.
Thank you guys. Yeah. It is awesome. It's awesome. And thanks to Hank and Rennie Reeves of Texas and the whole gang at the Dash compound. So it's going to be good.
Right. All right. So who do we want to get for next week? Because we have nobody.
So, I have some ideas. So
we need to. I want to get somebody big. I want to get somebody like real big. I'm trying to think. I like the kid. He was good with the first.
Jason was great. Jason was so good.
What's his name?
Jason Hartless. You got to go watch those YouTube videos or Facebook videos that I'm telling you about where he's playing. He is just insane. Watch the one that's from the Toto. It's like they do a cover song of this guy named David Page. He's the keyboard player for Toto. He must have had some kind of fusion side project, and the song is called E Minor Shuffle. That is just insane. I mean, these musicians are like great, but it's rocking. It's jazzy, fusiony, but it's rocking. and it's great. Yeah, I mean, we should reach out to some of the great guests that we've had on the podcast, like, of course, Rob Halford of Judas Priest. You guys, did you hear the music, Mark, today?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, good. I finally did it right. So that theme song, of course, was Rob Halford of Judas Priest on vocals, Metal Mike on guitar. I believe Roy Z was on that.
Yeah.
And so I think we should reach out to Rob Halford of Judas Priest and see if he would want to come on and give us an update on how he's doing. So that's my vote.
Could happen. You never know. You never know.
He has a good sense of humor, man. He's been doing some fun posts.
I bet he'd come on. I mean, Rob Halford came to our radio show when we did it at on 37th Street and Broadway. Yeah. And believe it or not, I mean, we had so many stories. You met with Rob Halford at a hotel once during a TV taping. I actually met with Rob Halford at the Astro Diner.
Yeah, we were there too. Emily,
you guys were at that?
Yeah, we were.
Oh, yeah. Because we got a photo of us. Yeah, I'm sorry. So stupid.
Well, did we get a picture together? Because I have a picture.
I think you have. Yours is separate.
Yes. Yeah. We have. I have a pic. That picture, Mark, is on the wall. My wall. Like. We ate
pie. He had pie. He had pie.
I don't remember what people had. He had pie.
I sat next to him and I was so impressed because I love pie, and he had like apple pie or cherry pie.
So it must have been a booth with me and Mark on one side and you and Rob Halford and Judas Priest on the other side. How crazy is that? Yeah. That's amazing. You know who I know we're trying to wrap this up, guys, but I'm having a fun time. You know who else we had dinner with, Mark? Down right across the street from the World Trade Center, we had dinner with Brian Head Welch of Korn.
Breakfast. It was breakfast.
Oh, breakfast. Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was in the morning. It was in the morning. Yeah.
Breakfast, dinner, same thing.
And for some reason, I remember butternut squash soup. And now I don't know if he had that or if it was just on the menu, but maybe it was a brunch.
Yeah.
Is this when he was? So is he is he like born again Christian?
Yeah, he's back in Korn now. He was out of Korn at that time.
He's back in Korn.
Yeah. I think we have tickets to see Korn in September, which has not yet canceled, but we'll see. And coincidentally, Rob Dukes was talking about Mike Patton. Faith No More is also on that bill, so we'll see if that.
Oh wow! And we were lucky enough to meet Mike Patton. Remember that?
Yeah, Mike Patton was amazing. Met with him in a toy store on Melrose Place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you want to? Do you know the story behind that? Because we had an interview with Mike Patton booked, and it got canceled for some reason. And then Mike Davis was sitting by Mike Patton at a basketball game the night before, and he said, "Hey, man, you got to come and do this interview." So we rescheduled it for the next day. Right. How cool is that?
I sort of forgot that, Davis. But Mike Davis. I was thinking I should reach out to Mike. I wanted to ask Mike's wife a question about an album. Mike's wife is Kim, and she is like manager of the
Pantera estate, Pantera. I would say.
Yeah. So the Power Metal record, which was the album before Cowboys from Hell, is off the market, unavailable. Now that I believe was the first album with Phil on vocals. And I've interviewed both. I mean, we've interviewed Vinny, and I've interviewed Rex, and I've interviewed Phil. And I've definitely asked Rex and Phil about that record because it's not available. And it's now like bootlegs of it are going for thousands of dollars. Everybody, is downloading it illegally. And both Phil and Rex basically said, it should be released. They told me that, Phil actually spoke really highly of the record. He said it was more of like a Judas Priest vibe for us, and what's wrong?
She's straightening out the dog photos.
Okay. And so
I like that, Emily. Yeah, it looks good. FYI, I just want to start. I'm sorry, Mark. Emily, the one on the other side needs a little tweak.
I know. It's not.
Yeah. That one.
Here, I'm trying to talk metal, and you guys are.
I know. We're talking about photos.
We're anal retentive.
So I wanted to ask Kim, and I'll finish this since we're about out of steam here. But why isn't that album released? Like, why can't we stream it on Apple Music and Spotify? And if Phil and Rex don't have a problem with it, and Dime's playing, he at that time was Diamond Daryl on the records before he became Dimebag. And I believe I believe he was Diamond Daryl on Cowboys from Hell too. And I believe so. I might be wrong about that.
I first knew him as Diamond Daryl before he became. I mean, not personally, but before he became Dimebag. And then I was, of course, lucky enough to meet him at an Ace Frehley show at what was Studio 54. At the time, it was called the Ritz, but it was Studio 54. So that was amazing. You remember that classic photo? Yeah,
I do. A great photo of John and Dimebag Daryl taken by Lydia Criss, I believe, right?
Correct. Yeah. I love Lydia Criss. Lydia Criss is, of course, the first wife of Peter Criss. And Lydia is just amazing. And I can't say enough great things about Lydia Criss. She is so smart, and she's a great photographer, and she does a ton of other business stuff, and she's just super cool. And Mark,
John, so many stories. I feel like we could go on with the stories all night.
We can go on forever. Mark,
we could tell Lydia stories for like the next hour.
Yeah, you used to live with Mark Strigl. Used to live in part of Lydia's apartment.
Yeah, I rented a room from her for about 3 months. It was only 3 months, but
okay. Yeah, and then didn't the guy from Space Hulk, who's married to Liv Tyler, take over for you, or you took over for him?
No, he had lived there previous to me. Yeah, he had rented the room previous, as well as some other people. But
is he still married to Liv Tyler?
Oh, I can't imagine.
Space Hog. What's his
name?
No.
Royston?
They're
Royston.
Divorced, I think. Yeah,
they're way divorced, like 10 years ago.
Yeah,
I'm screaming.
I've never seen, and this has nothing to do with Space Hog, but it popped into my head, and I saw a post that you commented on something that Nikki Seven of Emily's band and my old band Cherry Red and Emily's band The Minx posted a picture from a Muse concert.
Oh, right. Yeah, that was a great show. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And I've never seen that band, and I love that.
They're always great live. You like the band?
Yeah, totally. I mean, we've never spoke about it, but the couple of those songs that I know of, I think are amazing. And the whole crowd,
they're always great.
Was bouncing around.
That was at Webster Hall before it closed down in the main big stage room, and the whole thing was like I was afraid the club was going to collapse.
I thought we were all going to die. I was really nervous. I was like moving back.
What year was that?
That was 3 years ago.
4 years
ago. Because they've been playing arenas.
I would say 4.
But they did. It was a one-off lottery show that they did.
That's what I was going to say. A small show like that. Yeah. It's amazing.
Because they've been playing arenas for years now.
Right, they played the Garden before, but
it was like a warm-up show or something.
No, it was a special treat. I mean, the last few times we've seen them have been in arenas and stadiums. So I mean. But the first show I ever saw them was Hammerstein. Not was it Hammerstein?
Yeah, Hammerstein.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but that was 10 years ago, and then they escalated very quickly to arenas.
Speaking of bands that do arenas, and I have a ticket to see Rammstein at.
It's canceled.
That I thought the European tour was canceled.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm wrong. Then.
So I don't think the U.S. tour has been canceled yet. So I've got tickets at what's this called, MetLife Stadium.
Yeah, I got tickets too. Yep. Yeah, we have tickets. Yeah.
If that doesn't get canceled, that'll be a concert we're going to. Now, I have to say that unless something really drastically happens between now and September, I don't know. I mean, Jersey, that's one of the states. I think things are going to be the last 2 places I think a stadium concert is going to happen is Jersey or New York. And so I don't know. It's discouraging.
We'll see. Yeah, it changes day by day. No one can predict.
I can't take it anymore. Okay, Emily, you're a scientist and a rocker. What am I allowed to ask your opinion or not?
Sure.
Yeah, you don't want to hear it though, because here's the deal.
Yeah.
The whole time I've been like, saying like, don't worry, school will be opened in another 2 weeks. They're going to send the kids back to school. And she would be like, no, they're not. And I'd be like, get all mad. And I'd be like, M3 is happening in September. She's like, no, it's not. We're still going to see Rage Against the Machine. And so I have to say that every prediction that I've made, which has been optimistic, I feel like my hope has slowly dimmed. So now, and whereas Emily, for the most part, has been pretty spot on about things with her predictions.
But I was also.
So having said that, I don't know that you want to hear her predictions.
I don't know you want to hear my predictions either.
Are you allowed to say your predictions, Emily, or no?
Sure.
Oh, yeah. I mean.
Okay, tell me. Okay. August concerts with Ace that Like It is opening up for, happening or not? Not in this area.
Not in this area. I think it's going to depend on the state, because I can tell you that
what state?
Well, I can tell you.
PA and Ohio.
No. Ohio's not in great.
Ohio's declining.
They're declining, but they've been a hot spot. And any place that's been a hot spot is going to see a secondary spike, probably similar to the first. I hope that doesn't happen. I pray that doesn't happen. But we might see it, but it probably won't be until December timeframe. That's my prediction. This is just my prediction. Right. So I could be totally wrong.
Okay, here's the thing. I rented this video, not an actual tape, but on demand, of a movie, and I think it was called Contagion with not Brad Pitt.
Don't watch that. It's awful.
Yeah.
That movie's terrifying.
What's that guy's name? He's from Boston or something. He's not Brad Pitt, and he's not Ben Affleck, but he's the other one, Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. He was in it. And I think Gwyneth Paltrow was in it. So here's the deal. I never heard of this bats doing something and people getting diseases from bats, but apparently in Contagion it happened. They mentioned social distancing. So I thought somebody just made this up like in December. This has been out for a while, this term social distancing. So what the heck is going on? Why are we, Emily, I'm asking you this as a scientist, we're living for how many ever years the world's been out?
I'm going to see if anybody's actually watching this anymore.
Yeah, and what the heck, why are we having this suddenly? What's going on with that?
Well, if you look at the history, this isn't like this just happened for the first time. The Spanish flu we've had a lot of pandemics and we've had a lot of diseases that have ravaged beyond what COVID has. If you look at like smallpox and, a lot of diseases that ravaged us, it's fairly recent. It just so happens that we haven't seen anything in maybe 100 years this bad, right?
Okay.
So I wouldn't say it's coming out of the blue, number one. Number two, diseases moving from animal to human is not a new phenomenon. It is not. This is how a lot of things, and the biggest one I can tell you about is HIV. HIV moved, the first time they saw it in humans, moved from a chimpanzee to a human. So moving from a bat and we don't even know if it came directly from a bat or if it came from through a bat to another animal to a human. It's not unheard of. So people saying, oh, this is total, biological warfare, whatever.
Right. It's not. It's
not. Viruses, bats carry like 100 different viruses that could just slaughter all of us, and it doesn't affect them. But when it finds its way to us, it will be a pandemic.
And by the way, guys, out of the 4 people who are currently watching, John Simpson is one of them.
Hi, John.
John Simpson. Hi, John Simpson.
No, there's I think about 20 people watching right now, but we're kind of dwindling.
Hey, this is some useful information, Emily. I really think this is great. Continue on.
Well, no,
and all I can say to John Simpson right now is, I'm sorry.
No one wants to hear me talk about.
No. It's just no.
No, it's
they
true.
They have to watch. We're not forcing people to watch this.
This is just us
like,
having a conversation, right?
Yeah, we're just hanging.
No,
This is like a private call that we're broadcasting.
Mark hears me talk about this every day. He's like, shut her up already. Just
No. No.
And everyone else is like, she's a scientist? What? Like, everyone's like, yeah. I work in...
She is a scientist. Absolutely.
Correct.
Yeah. So I just want to circle back around to last week, John.
I hear bells. Is that me or you guys?
No, that's John. That's John Simpson texting me.
Saying, I just tuned in. Hi, John. We see you.
I want to circle back around to last week, John. Is there any chance, once we get through all this, that you could really make that Bruce Ace tour happen? Because I think that's good money for everyone. A tour with Bruce Kulick and Ace Frehley together. Like, Bruce plays a set and then Ace plays a set, or vice versa, whatever. I think that would be absolutely amazing, and I think that would really bring out the fans.
More for your money.
Yeah, I really do think that would be a big hit.
Two for.
I could definitely. I mean, if anybody can make it happen, I can make it happen for sure.
Right. We're gonna hold you.
No, I can make it happen. I just have to. When you put a tour like that together, you have to. There's any tour. There's a whole bunch of things but I definitely can get the spark going to do something like that. And what it takes is like basically just here's how it would work. A booking agent would have to put the word out there that these two bands were interested in doing this. And then you'd have to wait to see if offers would come in. So anybody could go do a tour or say they're going to do a tour no matter what. What usually happens is you want to see what promoters are going to pay for it, basically. And so you kind of put the word out there, and then you wait to see what comes back. And then you decide you do it. So, but I personally also believe that would be something that I, as a fan, would just love to see, and I think it would be great.
Yeah, and I mean, they're both still playing so well. It's like I just think that would be great, and
it'd be a great build.
As a Kiss fan, I would love to see that. But John, let's wrap it. We got to play a song to take us out. What do you want to play? I picked that other Ted Nugent song. You should pick one to end the show.
Okay.
This is podcast version only.
Podcast version. Okay, give me a genre. Oh, heavy metal.
Oh, the hip hop. Yeah,
hip hop. Yeah, I'd like to hear. Remember that
Drake?
Hey, we had
Come
on, we had Dukes on earlier. We could do Run DMC for real.
Yeah.
He's a metalhead.
Yeah, no. Remember, Mark? I had a CD in our old apartment. It was called like something from the Illin or something like that. You remember?
No.
We used to get these CDs from work, and I won't say what work, but we used to have like tons of CDs. I used to have tons of videotapes. I would go to the trash chute and just dump tapes.
What I used to do when I worked at VH1 is I'd go around and all the execs would they get all these CDs and they put them in the hallway on the floor.
Right.
And that meant they were free game. So I would go around and I'd collect them. I just take them all. And I'd be like walking back to my desk with like 90 CDs in my hand.
You know what? We need to hear. We need to hear about Norris. Your conversations with him. What was his name? Not Norris.
John Norris?
No clue who you were talking about. Norris, but
Fred Norris.
Kurt Loder. You mean?
Oh no, it's Kurt Loder. Sorry.
Yeah, so I would come back to my desk with like 90 CDs, and I'd put them down, and I'd take out a couple that I wanted or that looked interesting, and then I'd take the rest down to St. Mark's Place, and I go to a place called Sounds.
Sounds. Right. It was above Trash and Vaudeville. Or
correct.
Below.
Yeah. You're correct. Yes.
Yeah.
And I would, or next to it. It may.
No, I think it was below.
No, that was Kim's.
Okay.
Kim's was below.
But Trash was 2 floors, so Sounds must have been next to it or something.
Yeah, because Sounds you had to walk up the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you're right. Same little area there, and I would take in all these CDs. and they would like go through them, and they'd like make 2 piles, the ones they were going to keep and the ones they weren't. And they'd be like, well, we can't give you any for these, but for these, he'd look it over. He'd be like, $41. It was always like an odd number.
Some weird
I think
number.
that was like, they say that was their, because the odd numbers, like if they would have said 40, you don't believe them. But if they say 41, it sounds more.
Yeah, it sounds more legitimate.
Yeah. And I would be like, sure.
That's funny.
And so he'd give me cash and I'd take it. And that $40, I mean, think about $40 in 1995. That was a lot of money.
Think about, he was making 70 or 80 easy.
Oh yeah, because he'd resell it.
Yeah.
And then they give you cash, or they give you a little more for trade.
Store credit. Yeah. So
yeah, but I definitely supplemented my income as the CD garbage.
Were they nicked? Remember how they would nick the?
Yeah,
they got like a stamp on them or something.
Yeah,
like
they have a little split,
like a cutout. Yeah. Remember the records? They used to call it a cutout. They had like a physical little thing in it.
Right.
Yeah.
But the CDs would have like a little hole punch or something in it. But
Yeah. I remember.
At one point when I decided to get rid of physical CDs, I still have a whole bunch of CDs now, but at one point just in my life, even my Kiss CDs, I took them all to a place in Hoboken, and they would look them up on like, I think it was Amazon or something, and find out what used CDs were going for. And then they'd give you an estimate based on that. And so like you drop the stuff off, and then they'd say, okay, come back in like 2 hours. And then they'd go through it. And then I sold every CD I had.
Wow. Even the Kiss ones?
Yeah, even the Kiss ones. And because I was like, I'm going all digital. So I sold everything. And now I have a whole bunch of CDs. But
oh my God, we have hundreds, John. Do you even understand?
Thousands. Yeah.
In the thousands? Oh, like about 20 feet this way, like lined up.
I believe it. Between both of you,
oh my God.
I believe it. Mark's laughing. He's like,
yeah, I try and I purged all that stuff a long time ago. He's a hoarder. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm a hoarder.
With certain things only. Yeah, with certain things.
With everything.
So, Mark, this is an odd podcast because we're trying to incorporate more of us into it. However, we're not, we're not out of our minds crazy or anything. So I'm not saying that we should be.
You are.
But yeah. Oh yeah. Like sometimes, some of those fun ones. You know what I think we need? Talking about a stakeout. COVID time.
COVID stakeout with the masks.
Yeah, let's get on some masks. Let's go down to that waterfall down in Manhattan. In Chelsea Market.
Right.
And let's look for Axl Rose. Can we do that?
Yeah.
That was one of the greatest ever things that we ever did. I think we need, maybe we make a fake bar where we're social I'm tired of social distancing, but I know Emily.
That's why I don't even know if I want to stay in this area anymore. It's like, the town of Maplewood, New Jersey, we had like 25 people dead. And then I was looking at we had 3,000 people live here. And then I look at San Diego, California, has like 1.5 million people, and they got like 100 something dead. It's like the math doesn't. I mean, 1.5 million with 130 dead,
England has been hit hard. Period. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, how do we explain that? I don't know.
Well, we're not part of New England.
Hey, I heard that Hong Kong only had 4 dead.
Hong Kong, I don't know if that's true, but
who knows?
It could be.
But David Asman said that today. But it's who knows what numbers are real and what aren't. But the thing is, I believe these United States numbers. Yeah, I mean,
I'm just about ready to leave like the New Jersey, New York area. I'm just I'm kind of over it.
Here's the sad thing.
It's like people are like, don't move to California. There's earthquakes. Well, okay, but. In New Jersey, we have, I almost got killed by a tree falling on my house in the hurricanes. 9/11, now this, New Jersey, New York, like way above any other place in the country.
Right.
It's like
crazy way above.
Why am I paying the highest taxes in the country to live in the most dangerous place in the world?
Right.
I mean, people are like, wow, I feel like I live in the freaking Afghanistan. It's like, what the frick is going on?
How do you feel about moving to Indiana, where my family is?
Well, Indianapolis.
I was thinking more
move back to
California.
PA.
But, yeah.
I've always said we'll go back to Indiana someday.
I could go to Grizzly Adams' way. You remember him? Grizzly Adams?
Yeah,
Not
definitely.
too
Get a
far
pet.
from Indiana.
Like
Yeah.
a bear or dog or something.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I'll just hang out there and
Right.
play
Yeah.
and have some guitars behind me. And then we can do the Talking Metal podcast.
I'll be honest. Mark and I would be in California right now if it weren't for our kids.
Yeah, and my family's all in New Jersey too,
Yeah,
so I
right.
Yeah.
that's
Right.
definitely a
Yeah.
consideration. But
It's more like it's hard to move your kids once they're established.
Once they get
someplace.
established. Right.
Yeah, it's really tough. But Mark and I, when Harrison was a baby, like 6 months old, we said, let's do it now. Let's move to LA now, right?
yeah, we've spoken about it many
We were
times.
looking,
I just now it's like with all this stuff, it's like I just remember like 30 years ago, people were like, oh, don't move to California, there'll be an earthquake. Well, guess what? Yeah, there's been some little earthquakes out there. Maybe a few people died through the years, but it's like New Jersey, we got like 11,000 people dead of COVID-19. It's like 9/11, freaking 3,000 people murdered. Hurricane Sandy. I'm not
laughing at that. I'm just laughing. It was
a tree, two trees fell on our house. Almost one fell on me. Almost killed me. It's like and then Essex County is the second highest county for taxes in the country. It's like, what? And the schools aren't even that good. I mean, the schools are like mediocre in my opinion. I'm just like, why am I living? Why am I paying so much money to live in the most dangerous place on earth? And I know that's a slight exaggeration, but I'm just talking, obviously things are dangerous in the Middle East and stuff, but on the flip side, it's like, Jesus, it's like, what the hell? I want to get the hell out of here.
I can't take much more of this insanity, but I know it's not insanity, but I can't. I don't know how many more weeks I can, just walk around.
Well, it's rapidly. The governor's in Jersey. He's rapidly, I think, even more so than New York. He's rapidly loosening the restrictions. So today he's opening new stores, letting like bike shops are now open. He just announced that you can have outdoor gatherings. It was 10 people, now it's 25 people. So in theory, you could have a block party tomorrow and have 25 people all hanging out, drinking beer, having a party, and they're not going to test, but it has to be outside. So it's rapidly moving in Jersey.
I have to say something.
Sure.
Like everything that Mark is saying, yes, it's legit. But John, you have to understand, we both lived in New York City for years. I lived in New York City for 10 years. He lived in New York City for like 20 years. This is where our heart and soul is.
Right.
So whatever you're saying about like, I'm sick of this shit, we go on these walks where we can see the skyline, and both of us, our hearts melt. NYC is what made me an adult, and you too. Like we both spread our wings in NYC, so you can see everything you want and poo-poo off. Yeah, it's not the way it used to be, and maybe that sucks a little bit, but that's why it's hard to let go.
Right, and I agree with that 100%. But on the flip side, I'm like, wow, we could get, for this 3-bedroom house in Maplewood, we could get a freaking mansion in San Diego and not have to worry about getting killed by hurricanes and terrorists and freaking pandemics. I might be into that.
Like on a daily basis, like.
If they've got seals, do they have seals?
Yeah, Asia's
I don't know. I don't know if San Diego has.
It's really nice out there. My good friend Tommy Rulon lives out in San Diego, and he has like a beautiful like beachfront home, and it's just out of control out there. It's so beautiful. It's a great area.
I could deal with that.
That hat I wear like every day except for today. It says belly up on it. That's San Diego. It's called Solana Beach, a little north of San Diego downtown. Great area. I mean, it's beautiful out there for sure.
Yeah.
San Diego's nice.
Everyone thinks I'm from California, so we should do it.
Yeah.
My mom was born in California.
Oh, I didn't know that, Emily. That's pretty cool.
My mom was born there.
So you got a connection.
Yep.
Well, guys, we had a great time tonight. Stay tuned next week. We're gonna have another one.
Oh man, you guys are not gonna believe who our guest is. I don't want to say just yet, but it's such a big star that it's gonna.
You got it. For
no,
real?
I don't know who.
Okay, yeah.
I'm just.
Now we're gonna have some great guests. No matter what, we're gonna have great guests. We have here's the truth, guys. We have a lot of people that want to come on and that we've asked, and some that we haven't asked and they've asked us, but mostly that we ask. And we're trying to space it out so every episode isn't like, for example, we had Phil Schaus on our first episode from Ace Frehley, Gene Simmons Band. Yeah,
he was another blabbermouth headline.
And the rest of the guys, Jeremy and Ryan, and I'd like to ask Matt Starr to come on, Christopher, the drummer from Accept, who also played with those guys. We have all those guys. I want to get Anthony Esposito on.
I love Matt Starr. I love Anthony. Oh my God, we have
all those guys are great. I'd love to get Richie Scarlett on. I'd love to get Chris Wise on. I'd love to get Scott Coogan on.
Oh my
God. So I think we've got a lot of people that we can reach out to, but I don't want every. Not just me. We want to. I feel like I'm doing like a politician. I want to. Every show can't be the Kiss band show. You know what I mean? We got to branch out a little bit. So trying to space out the Kiss stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you had some good suggestions earlier. We'll have to think about who we can get. I would love to get like what about like a Saxon or something? Although Biff, he's in the UK, so it's going to be the middle of the night for him. But we'll figure it out. We'll get some good guests, and we've had some people who actually like just hearing us talk without the the interviews. So we will be back. Let's plan on next Friday, John. And thank you for hooking this all up. John is the producer of this. He's the guy who's really, at least technically, making this all happen. So thank you, John.
Mark's a professional TV producer. I'm just a Facebook Live producer.
All right, man.
Multi-talented. We love you, John.
Thank you.
We missed you. I can't wait till I can have you over and grill out for you and make you another.
Yeah, whenever it's safe, I'm there, guys. I mean, I whenever it's safe, because you got kids and stuff, and I don't want to give anybody COVID. Not that I have it, but you never know.
Right.
We miss you. We'll
COVID. So my new song, it's going to be called "It's COVID Time Again." It'll always win.
If we can't laugh about it, we're gonna die.
I know. I for anybody, I know people who've been terribly affected by this, and so I'm not making light of it. I'm just.
No,
they say that even in tragedy, you're supposed to, try to.
You have to find a way to laugh through.
You got to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, we'll leave with this. John, you mentioned the band Roy's Baby, which is a band you and I had, and our bassist for part of that time, part of Roy's Baby history was Sean Burns. I did text him today. It sounds like he's doing a lot better. He did come down with COVID-19. Was sick, and he is feeling better. He's actually allowed to go out of his room. He is in a facility right now. So
we love you, Sean.
And he's able to.
Yes, we love Sean Burns. And those guys are doing a Zoom chat with my friend Tim Zimmerman and the guys. I got a text from Tim, and because of my whole computer disaster today, where my laptop had beer spilled on it. I was consumed with that today. So I'm sorry I didn't get back to you guys because they're doing a call. And even after we jump off of this, I can't immediately get onto another call because this has been like a 2.5 hour thing. And it takes time for it to what I call render, which is like a TV word. And so I can't immediately jump onto something. But one of these days I want to get on a chat, like a Zoom chat with all my buddies from Berkeley, including Sean Burns and Tim Zimmerman and everybody else in the band, Dodgy, Kirby, Paula, a lot of good friends. But, so I'm going to do that soon. And I'm glad to hear Sean Burns is doing better.
Yeah.
We love Sean Burns.
Well, I'm glad to connect with you guys. We love talking metal. We love we love you guys so much and hope you're doing
And we love Pearl the dog who we saw.
Where is she?
Pearl. Where's Pearl?
She's like asleep. She's an early to bed.
She goes to bed early.
She does.
Okay, guys. Keep rocking.
Love you, John.
And, love you too. We'll see you soon.
Okay.
All right, man.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
See ya. Bye-bye.